Literally, literally, I'm gonna hurt you right now. Uh, Seriously, you ruined it. Do I need to? Camaro called me. Camaro called me. I was like, I'm gonna kill you because I couldn't get it to start again. I was like, why is the screen black? What happened? I can't get back on. I can't see anything. Oh my god. Okay, so apparently I need to put this on do not disturb, but I don't know how to do that with an iPad. Where is it? I don't know. I don't know how to do not disturb on my iPad. Do not disturb. There. So now if she calls my phone or anybody calls my phone, I shouldn't be able to. I'm like, dag nabbit, I had to restart my live because everything went black because I said no. As soon as I hit the no button, like do not answer the call, it turned the screen black and I was like, no, come back. So, okay, so I figured it out. I'm on do not disturb. I know. Well, she asked me if I was going to go live, blah, 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 something about FaceTime call. And I was like, no, let's go. And then she was like, wait, you didn't answer. I was like, I'm more frustrated with not knowing how this thing works. Like, I don't know how any of this works. Girl, as soon as you called me, I was like, no, stop. And I hit the red button to make it stop, and the screen went black. And I was like, oh, I'm going to kill her. I was like, I'm going to kill her. I can't figure out how this works. It's a do not disturb. So if you decide to call me now, exactly. Camaro did it. We're blaming it all on Camaro. What is this? Oh, that's a retouch. Do not pull my shirt up. Do not pull my shirt up. Okay. I think that's all I need to mess with right there. I hope that didn't screw up the notification on anything else because I sent the notification out. But anyway, exactly. I didn't know how to make the screen come back on, so I had to restart completely. I was like, damn it. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna try to read at least chapter 1. Don't grab that. This is why you're calm right now. I'm gonna try to read at least chapter 1 before I go lay her down. Yeah, he would have been like, ah, it really is Camaro this time. Um, so hey, don't chew my pillow. So I'm gonna try to read at least chapter 1 real quick. I wrote this for anybody who did not know. I wrote this book. It is the second book in my affair series. Oh crud! And because I'm over here, I forgot the first book. Let me go grab the first book so I can read the last little bit. So we know exactly where I came from. Okay, so this is the first one in my affair series. This is the very first one. I read this one last month. Everything is like everything is linked in my bio, so you can look at my website and everything else. Um, but this one I read last month, and then I will be continuing the affair series over here. They are not romance novels in any way. They are very gory, very gruesome, serial killers. And yeah, this is the best way I can read them because apparently other places don't like certain words, and I'm not monetized here, so I can say whatever I want. They're not going to pull my monetization because I said killer or gruesome, gory, blood, stuff like that. So anyway, yes, they are serial killers. There's a serial killer in this one. He was murdered by one of his victims who escaped and got away. Um, she was getting ready to get married to the guy that she met in the beginning. And the whole thing goes through, and then they're getting ready to get married. She gets this card inside a very nice envelope. And let's see. The elegantly designed silver paper had me wondering if one of the guests decided to send a wedding card. I hesitated before opening it. I pulled the adhesive apart and exposed the card, the same color as the envelope. I pulled it out of its housing. On the front, in an eloquent script, was embossed "Congratulations" in a sparkling white. Must be a wedding card from someone, Charlotte said as she peeked over my shoulder. Why wouldn't they want me to know who sent it, though? I wondered out loud. Maybe they signed it. Open it up. I lifted the card open. On the inside was a message pasted of individual letters cut out from a magazine, which read, "I've come back for you." And that is where this book ended last month. She will be 2 in May. She will be 2 in May. Oh my gosh. Man. People are crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and try to read chapter 1 before I go lay her down so she can be in bed so I can stop getting some random ass freaking comments from people who have never seen her on my channel. Hi, if you are new here, I have videos of her, but also I'm on TikTok regularly, so there's that too. I do have videos of her here on the tubes. Otherwise, I am an author. I write books. This is the first book in my affair series. I wrote this book, or I read this book last month. This month I'm reading the second one. We're moving on from there. Okay. And it starts. I thought you said he was dead, I fumed as I slammed the wedding card down on Detective Rage's desk. As I was in the middle of packing for my honeymoon, Charlotte, my foster sister, brought me a pearl white envelope without a return address. It was simply addressed to the Ansley Kirk Center for Recovery, but no one specifically. What is that? He asked. Just look at it. I'm being taunted again. It appeared as though it were just an innocent wedding card. On the front, an eloquent script was embossed. The word "Congratulations" in a sparkling white. Rage picked it up off his desk and lifted the card open. On the inside was a message pasted of individual letters cut out from a magazine, which read, "I've come back for you." Jasper stood next to me with one arm draped across my shoulders. I never thought I would have to postpone my honeymoon because I was being threatened by a dead serial killer. I was at the morgue when his body was released several months ago, Detective Rage began. I saw the state of Malachi's body. I promise you, he is most certainly dead. A shotgun blast to the face at close range had blown off most of his skull. I watched as the crime scene investigators scraped brain matter off the wall. I promise he is dead. Detective, is it possible this could turn into a copycat? Jasper asked. It would only be considered a copycat if someone else is murdered in the same manner, Rage replied. For now, all we have is an anonymous letter. Malachi Townsend was dubbed the Butcher after he had murdered several women. Each one had died from exsanguination after their left leg was amputated. He would watch as they bled out, then rape them after assuming his victim was dead. Once he had finished with his victim, he would stuff the body in a plastic storage box. His early victims had been buried, but as he killed more and more, he began to leave them somewhere they could be discovered. He had 2 victims survive his torture, Ansley Kirkland and me. I'm Mackenzie Tully, formerly known as Mackenzie Lee. Malachi abducted me from my home, took me to his torture chamber, and proceeded to amputate my left leg while I watched. He dropped me off at the back door to the hospital, stuffed inside a storage box, and left me there to rot. Luckily, I was found shortly after he left, and I was able to be saved. Due to the fact that we were still alive when he raped both of us, we both became pregnant as a result. Ansley was able to carry her baby to full term because she was dumped on someone's property. Gabrielle went and found her and took care of Ansley at her veterinary office, which was on her property, out in the middle of nowhere. Gabrielle was able to clean Ansley's wound and be there for her when the baby was born. Gabrielle allowed Ansley to stay with her on the property and live off the grid for several years until the news reported about my survival. Ansley sought me out to tell me her story. I was so glad to hear that Gabrielle's family all worked in some way in the medical field, and Ansley was able to receive a high tech, realistic prosthetic leg. Malachi had attacked me 2 more times after the initial abduction and attempted murder. During the second attack, I lost my baby, which turned out to be twins. During the third attack, Ansley and I had returned to my house to stay the night where we had planned to face our fear of returning to our homes when Malachi had ambushed us. We were upstairs in my room when we heard someone breaking in downstairs. Ansley had decided that being in possession of a shotgun was a good idea. Needless to say, I grabbed the gun before we headed downstairs to investigate. Ansley was first to the kitchen, where Malachi had made his way in order to retrieve a knife. He held it to her throat as I aimed the gun at his face. Within one swift move, he sliced her throat and dropped her to the floor. I pulled the trigger on the shotgun and blew his brains out the back of his head. Then Ansley tried to save Ansley by pressing the kitchen towel to the gaping wound in her neck. To no avail. She was already gone before the ambulance arrived. Detective, we got another one, a uniformed officer said, interrupting our conversation. Another what? Rage asked. A young woman was found mutilated down by the lake. Her left leg is missing, the officer explained. Well, looks like we may have ourselves a copycat killer, Rage said, grabbing his keys. Detective, is it all right if we tag along? I asked. You know what? You know this case as you know this case as well as any one of us. Come on, he said, headed for the exit. Why would anyone want to copy a murderer? Why is someone interested in me? I asked as Rage drove down the interstate following behind the police car. Some people are just sick. They enjoy seeing others get hurt. When they find a killer living out their fantasies, they can control their urges. But as soon as the person they are living vicariously through is gone, they are no longer able to control themselves. Although, due to the focus being specifically on you, it seems as though this person is apparently trying to finish what Malachi started. Since he wasn't able to kill you before he died, this new killer is most likely going to try and could possibly succeed, Rage explained. Should I be laying low and making sure I'm constantly surrounded by others? I don't want to be alone if I could potentially be in danger, I asked. It is possible this person could see you as a threat, and if he does, he could use someone already in your life to get to you. It won't matter if you're alone or with others. You may not be able to trust anyone, he answered. Why didn't he just come after me specifically? I wondered aloud. What is the point in killing someone else? Wouldn't it be easier if he just came after me and eliminated all the other groundwork? He is most likely torturing you mentally to break you down in order to make it easier for him to get to you, Rage explained. Jasper and I sat in the back of Rage's unmarked cop car, holding hands. I stared out the window, watching the trees blur past as Rage drove down the road. I killed Malachi Townsend. I pulled the trigger on the shotgun at close range. I watched as the coroner zipped up the body bag and carried him away. I wondered if someone I wondered if someone else was watching that day as well. Rage turned down a dirt trail where tire divots had been made by four-wheel vehicles and had used the specific path to get to the lake. Several dozen onlookers were gathered around the crime scene in order to feed their morbid curiosity. Uniformed officers were stationed around the scene in order to keep the crowd at bay. We exited the vehicle and walked toward the victim. One officer lifted the crime scene tape and allowed us access to the killer's dump site. Something is different. The killer wanted her body found, I observed as we stood to the left of the corpse. What do you mean? Malachi always left his victims where they could be found, Rage said. The body is completely visible. There is no box. She was dumped here like someone's garbage, I informed. He's taunting you again. Remember, Malachi's second letter? He said he would become more violent until he had you again, in order to finish what he had started. He is trying to make you feel like this is your fault she died, Jasper said. Don't take this personal. It's not your fault. How can I not take this personal? She is dead because I'm still alive. There's another crazed maniac out there who wants me dead. This is definitely a message to me. Mackenzie, have you noticed anyone in the past few months since Malachi's death takes extra special interest in you? Rage asked. Anyone who may have seemed angry since your marriage to Jasper? I didn't even know Malachi was upset Jasper and I started dating, so I'm pretty sure I'm oblivious to the fact that someone hates me for getting married. As we approached the body, we could see she had been beaten. Her clothing was torn as though she had struggled with her assailant. There were abrasions on her arms and legs and several purpling blue marks on her torso indicate defensive wounds. Her right eye was swollen shut, and her left eye was wide open, staring vacantly into the sky. The jagged tears in her flesh around the amputation site told us she was cut with a handsaw. There were tool marks on the exposed bone and foreign material found in the wound tract. Her shorts had been cut in order to expose her, and her genitals appeared as though she had been violated with a foreign object. From the neck down, she had been cut several times with a knife. Some gashes were deeper than others, proving she had fought for her life. As I stared at the lifeless body, I thought about when Malachi had mutilated me, and how this could have been me. As I examined the amputated limb, I felt as though I was having an out of body experience. I wasn't feeling any emotions, just a little lightheaded and spacey. I noticed a difference in the amputation procedure. I was amputated at my knee joint. This poor girl was just sawed at, like a bad magic act, about mid thigh. I squatted next to the body and felt the comfort of my new prosthetic leg Gabrielle's brother had personally engineered for me. The silicone against my thigh was soft and lifelike. Even the knee was realistic, and the rollerball function made it easier to walk. I felt whole again, but this girl would never be whole. I could hear all the voices around me, but it sounded as though I was wearing earplugs. I was unable to distinguish any words. As I glared into the bloody stump, I contemplated the first time I observed my amputation, and a single tear rolled down my cheek. I felt a wave of devastation as if I had known the girl personally. I felt a hand touch my left shoulder softly, pulling me out of my reminiscent thought. When I peered up, I saw Jasper gazing down at me with sadness and admiration. He assisted me into a standing position, and I wiped the tear from my face. Detective, what's her name? I asked. She doesn't have any identification on her, so we won't know until we get her to the morgue, he told me. There's no reason for us to hang around here while the investigators are collecting evidence. Rage escorted us back to his vehicle and drove us back to the station. Once we returned to the police station, Rage placed the wedding card with the ominous message into an evidence bag and slipped it into the top drawer of his desk. I will take care of this. Now go on your honeymoon and don't worry. We will catch this guy, he assured us. I'm not going to take my new wife anywhere she might be vulnerable. Once you catch this guy, then we can go on our honeymoon. Please keep us informed, Jasper said, shaking Rage's hand. Don't put your life on hold. You never know how much more time you have, Rage said ominously. What does that mean? I asked, confused. Go home, relax with your husband, and I will let you know if anything else is found. That could potentially be evidence that you might be in danger. Jasper and I drove back to the Ansley Kirkland Center for Recovery. When Ansley and I spent the night together, the day she died, we discussed opening a center to help victims recover from a tragedy they had suffered. When she had been murdered, I decided to preserve her memory by opening the center and naming it after her. Did he seem a little weird to you? I asked Jasper as we drove home. A little? That man is crazy. I don't think he's going to do anything with that card. I think it will sit in his desk drawer. Unless, of course, it becomes an important piece of evidence, Jasper explained. My new husband and I lived on site at the center in order to give the guests a sense of security, and I was always available at any time to talk if they ever needed guidance. I hope not. That card could help them find out who is tormenting me. Jasper shrugged as he pulled into the parking lot of the center. It wasn't a shrug to dismiss me. It was more to admit defeat and hope Rage would do his job as a police detective. When we walked through the door, Charlotte, Jillian, Gabrielle, and even Matthew, Ansley's son, were waiting by the front desk. They turned to each other and pretended they were discussing something, but the uncomfortable body language I interpreted as they wanted to know what happened. They first decided to pretend they didn't notice us. Then Charlotte turned and spoke first. Hey guys, how did it go? She asked as if Jasper and I had just gone out for coffee. You really want to know how we spent the last 4 hours? Turn on the news, I said, heading for the recreation room. Matthew, why don't you go see what the other children are doing? Gabrielle told him. I get it. You want me to leave so y'all can say grown up words and watch TV with grown up situations. Sounds boring to me anyway. See you later, Matthew said, skipping off down the hallway. Charlotte picked up the remote from the side table and pressed the power button, bringing the television to life. She had to change it off the cartoons to get to the local news station. The weather guy was reporting a storm moving through the north, which could cause a cold front to blow in within the next few days. Eventually, the reporter announced the body. Another body was found this afternoon with the same wounds as all the women affected by the butcher. Several months ago, Malachi Townsend was shot and killed by his only surviving victim, Mackenzie Lee. Townsend had brutally murdered over 50 women. With each one, he amputated their left leg and watched them bleed to death. A source on the police force says they believe this to be the work of a copycat killer, whose main goal is to ultimately kill the surviving victim, Mackenzie Lee. Lee has postponed her honeymoon with her newlywed husband, Jasper Tully, in fear of becoming vulnerable to the new killer. She had opened a rehabilitation center for victims of heinous crimes. The center is named after Townsend's last victim, Ansley Kirkland, whose throat was slashed in front of Lee just before she pulled the trigger on a shotgun and shot Townsend. Amy Earnhardt is on the scene where the latest victim's body was found. Amy, the news anchor revealed. Where did they get all of that information? How do they know about our wedding and honeymoon? Who is their source? Do you think it's Rage? I said, looking at Jasper. He only shrugged at me. That time it was dismissive, so we could hear the news reporter. Thank you, Sybil. I'm here at Galena Lake, where a young woman was found brutally murdered and her left leg amputated. This heinous crime may have some similarities to the butcher cases, but there are differences as well. Take, for instance, where the body was found. Townsend's victims were always left in an area that wasn't as easily noticeable, and dozens were buried. As well, each of his victims were placed in a plastic tote box. As you can see from the scene behind me, the cameraman panned past the reporter to the crime scene. This woman was dumped here. We found it! Her leg is over here! Someone yelled from off camera. Did you hear that? In the studio, someone has found the severed limb of the victim. Back to you, Sybil. I'm going to see what information I can find out, the reporter announced. The news was again focused on the anchor woman. Holy shit, Mackenzie! What did you do? Gabrielle accused. How is this all of a sudden her fault? Charlotte argued. What do you mean all of a sudden? She's the one who put Ansley in the situation that got her killed, Gabrielle retorted. Are you still blaming her for that? Jillian chimed in. I will always blame her for taking Matthew's mother from him. I can't believe you're still on that. First of all, it was Ansley's idea. I thought it was a good idea. We discussed what happened to us in therapeutic manner. When something that tragic happened to someone, it helps to talk about it. Now get over it, I told her. I walked away, heading for my room. Jasper, Charlotte, and Jillian followed for moral support. Okay, chapter 2. Holy cow, monkey. Holy cow, monkey. All right, what do we got? Oh, good. I'm so glad. Why is crazy and wait till I tell you why later? Oh, this is crazy. It's all crazy. It's all crazy. Okay. Let me go put her in bed. Because as you can see, you see how crazy she is while she's bouncing around while I'm trying to read. Okay. We're going to go to bed, baby girl. I cannot with you. Sorry, it's dark. Okay. Yes, I am taking you with me. Because she likes to hug during bedtime. After she bounces off of me, by the way. Yeah, there she goes. All right, come on. Come on. Come on. There you go. There you go. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hi, sweet baby. I know. Is it my baby? Is it my baby? That's my sweet girl. My baby girl. I love my lovin's. Hi. It's time for night-night. I know. It's time for night-night. It's time for night-night. Get my baby? You said night-night? Say night-night, everybody. Say night-night. You gonna talk or no? Say night-night. I don't say night-night. Okay, come on. I know. Come on. Here, hold your blanket. There you go. I know you don't normally hold your blanket, but you can try. Honey, you're gonna hurt yourself doing that one of these times. No, it's time for night-night. No, it's time for night-night. It's time for night-night. No. No, it's time for night-night. This girl. Look. See, Auntie Merle says night-night. Okay, come on. Let's go. I know. There you go. Good girl. Good job. Good job. Night-night, baby. Night-night, baby. You're a sweet baby. I know. I'm going to cover that up, but you're going to pull it off. I already know that. I'm going to cover it up, but she's going to pull it off. She'll move it. She'll end up moving it because she'll be like, bitch, get me out of here. And let's see. It is 8:06. Guesstimation, she will be asleep. 8:30. I'm going to say 8:30. Peter's up and moving around. I got to let her out real quick. Dagnabbit. See, this is why I needed somebody else here with me. Because of that. You need more water? Okay. Well, let me get her water real quick. And I know being live on YouTube requires a lot more interaction to keep people in. I mean, there's like, what, 4 people in here? 4 active people in here? Here. There you go. And you're going to go outside as soon as you're done. So, yeah. So I'm trying to make sure trying to make sure that I stay entertaining. What up, y'all? Now I get to go to my desk. Oh, but this is the best way that I have figured out to keep her from peeing on the floor when I go back there. Although I can't guarantee it, because I've also noticed that I'll let her out, let her back in, go back there, hear her wandering around, come out here, and she's peed on the floor. And that's all within 20 minutes. All right now. Okay. Okay. That's enough slices. That's enough slices. Come on, let's go. Let's go outside. Come on, let's go outside. Come on, Bubby. You filled up. Now you need to go. We got the light working again. Come on. Back up so Kira can get out. Come on, Kira, go. Go, Kira. Go, Kira. Go, Kira. She's not going to do anything to you. This dog. She's always so worried about the cat messing with her. And it's like, the cat's not going to do anything. Can you just go? Can you just go? See? Now, yes, Minnie did just go down the stairs, but then you can see Kira wandering off into the dark. Minnie is at the bottom of the stairs. Oh, Minnie's over by the tree. She's over this way somewhere. But, black cat, dark night. I know. Poor Kira. And now the lights went out. See, they're motion censored. Earlier, Aria freaked me out because I was like, you messed up the light because she touched it. I have no idea what she did. I just wish they'd stay on longer. That's what I wish. I wish the motion sensor lights would stay on longer. Because now I can't see Kira. Oh, no, I see her. She's coming back up. Better hurry up, Kira. She's down there. Let's go. Come on. I see you. She's coming up the stairs. She's not up here. There you go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Kira. Come on. Hey, let's go. I got stuff I got to do. Come on. Let's go. Otherwise, I will let Minnie up here. Ugh. Your hubby has what? Feral black cat he feeds at work. Oh, that's kind of cute. It's going to get dark again. Go lay down now. You're fine. Or at least should be. No, I'm not monetized on YouTube, so there is no way for me to make any money. Not yet, anyway. I have to have so many. Yeah, I have to have so many. Like over here, it's subscribers, not followers. But I have to have so many, and then like a certain amount. I think it's 1,000 or 500 or something. But then I also have to have so many video views at the same time as well. Hello, Carly. Okay, now I can get back to reading. What's up? Okay. So now I can get back to reading. So chapter 2. Now that I've read the first one, that needs to be thrown out. I gotta clean this desk up. Holy cow. Whoo! Okay. I'll put that one over there. Let me grab the monitor so I can see the baby. Okay, there we go. Now I can see the baby. All right, y'all ready to go? What is that? That is cute. That looks like a little tent. All right. Who's ready? I know I am. Let's see. Oh, it's supposed to rain in 14 minutes. I am so glad that I took her out just now. Whew. So glad I let the dog out. Oh, my phone is on Do Not Disturb too? I did not know that. Whoops. Damn. Okay. My bad. I didn't realize that it puts my phone on Do Not Disturb as well. But I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway, just in case, because I don't want to. Hello, Conolly. White Castle burgers, chips and salsa, and a soda. Soda's not good for your kidneys, just so you know. Soda's not good for your kidneys. All right, chapter 2. There we go. Are you ready? Okay. I feel like I need to get my stand up over here in front of me. You know, a lot of people drink soda every day. As long as you don't drink a whole lot of it. I know, we don't have White Castle around here either. The only White Castle I know of that I've ever been to was in Kentucky. I will say that's a lot better than the dark sodas. Dark sodas are really bad for your organs. But I say to each their own. My mom drinks one a week. All I got is water. Big water. Okay. Chapter 2. I can't believe she is still holding on to that grudge. I thought we had moved past that, and that was why she had agreed to work here at the center, I said, pacing the room. Forget her. You have kept Ansley's memory alive with this center, and Matthew doesn't blame you for his mother's death. Oh, the microwavable kind. Mm-hmm. I love the ones, yeah. Shut up, Camaro. They're not gluten-free. I'm sorry. You have kept Ansley's memory alive with this center, and Matthew doesn't blame you for his mother's death. I think that is the only opinion that matters, Charlotte said. Matthew's 4. He doesn't hold a grudge against anyone. He's still going through that sweet and innocent stage in life, I retorted. Wouldn't it be nice if everyone stayed that way? I think the world would be a nicer place, Jillian analyzed. That's just silly. If everyone walked around that naive of the world around them, more people would die more often at the hand of these psycho serial killers, Charlotte said with a condescending undertone. Well, shows how much you know. If everyone were sweet and innocent and naive, then no one would kill anyone. There would be no crime and this world would be a better place, Jillian corrected Charlotte, self-satisfied. If that were the case, then nothing interesting would ever happen. That's great that you think that death and crime are the interesting things in life. Don't you think that that is just a bit morbid? Jasper and I sat on the bed while Charlotte and Jillian continued their childish argument. I didn't know what to do. There was a killer after me, and I was having to put my life on hold in order to protect myself from danger. I was technically hiding out in order to bide my time until the second killer was caught. Just then, my cell phone rang. Hello, I answered. I think you need to come down here to the station, Rage said from the other end of the line. Why? What's going on? I asked. Just get here as soon as you can, he said right before he hung up. Who was it? Jasper asked right after I took the phone away from my ear. You tried tapping? Not TikTok. You do that everywhere, don't you, Camaro? Detective Rage. He said I need to get to the station as soon as possible. I'm so tired of living like this. Why can't we just go back to normal living Why can't we just go back to living a normal existence and pretending like nothing is going on around us? I said, putting my face in my hands. This is just one more obstacle life has thrown at us. All we need to do is get past this and we can start our family like we planned, Jasper said, putting his arm around my shoulders and pulling me into him. He held me for a moment, and everyone was silent as I reflected back to our wedding day. It was all set to make me feel like a queen. We had rented a ballroom for the reception. My dress was Vera Wang, as well as the bridesmaid dresses. The colors were lilac, white, and soft green. It was a classic, small wedding with about 50 people in attendance. Charlotte and Jillian with their husbands, Tom and Mark, along with Jasper's adopted family, which consisted of his adopted parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, and several of those family members with their significant other and children. The dress was simply elegant, pearl white, sleeveless, with a straight skirt and a top that sparkled. The day was perfect. When I woke up that morning, I heard the birds singing outside my window, and it was the first time in months I didn't fear the inevitability of possibly being abducted by another psycho killer. The weather was beautiful. The sun was shining, and even though it was warm, there was a cooling breeze that blew through at the right moments in order to make the day bearable. My dress was long enough to where I didn't feel self conscious about my leg, but just above the heel of my shoes, so I wouldn't trip over it. I pulled away from Jasper's grip. Let's go. Rage needs me at the station. Do you want us to go with you for support? Jillian asked, rubbing my back with the palm of her hand between my shoulders. No, I need the two of you to stay here at the center and make sure everything continues to run smoothly. Also, make sure the two boys who are set to leave early, who are set to leave, are ready to go when their aunt and uncle get here, I told her. Will do. What about the ones that are set to be admitted? Charlotte asked. That's not till next week. Gabrielle has all the files for the new guests. If you want help with them and fill out the welcome paperwork, please ask her to see the files, I told them. Don't we have one coming in today? Charlotte asked. Gabrielle was supposed to be handling that, but I don't know what's going to happen now. Charlotte, make sure he is settled and don't let him corrupt the other children, I told them. Corrupt the other children? What's wrong with him? Jillian asked. His name is Anthony Miller. He's 15 years old and lost his arm in a skateboarding accident. I was informed by the hospital that he's been acting like a total teenager, attitude and all. His doctor doesn't think he's ready to go home. So we are a sort of halfway house for him, I said. No problem. We've got this handled, Jillian said. Okay, we're going to head out and see what the detective wants, I told them. As Jasper and I headed out to leave, I was thankful we didn't run into Gabrielle. He helped me into the passenger side of the car and closed the door. I watched as my new husband rounded the front of the vehicle and joined me. Did he say why he needed you to come right away? Jasper asked as he shifted the car into drive. No, he just said to get there as soon as I could. I'm actually nervous. Do you think they suspect me? I asked. Honey, if they suspect you, they would have sent a police car to pick you up. I guess so. That does make more sense. I'm just hoping they haven't found another body, and now they want to question me on my whereabouts during the murder. Why would they assume you had anything to do with the murders anyway? You are the victim, he said. I don't know. Maybe because they always suspect a family member when something happens to a child or spouse. Why wouldn't they suspect a victim when there's a copycat? I analyzed. So what you're saying is that you, as a victim, are so distraught that you sent yourself a note to remind yourself you killed someone, but in a ploy to throw the police off your trail, showed them the note in hopes they wouldn't suspect you as the killer. Now you're thinking they have found a second body, and even though you covered your tracks with the first one, they still suspect you? He analyzed. Okay, now that you put it in that way, it does sound stupid. I don't know why I would think that. Maybe it's Gabrielle. She's got my head all discombobulated, I said, waving my hands around like a crazy person. Let's just find out what Rage wants, then we can recombobulate your head. He laughed. That's not a word, I told him in a childlike voice, laughing. If I can say it, it's a word. Besides, it's the opposite of discombobulate. Look it up. You're so silly, I said as I grabbed his hand, interlaced his fingers with mine, and gently kissed one of his fingers. I didn't know how I could get through this without him in my life. He knew how to encourage me and make me feel better about myself. When we first met, it was my seventh foster home, and I thought we would be together forever. He introduced himself to me as Jojo, and he decided to call me Mac. Unfortunately, he has taken away he was taken away from me to be adopted by a couple who wanted foster children who could potentially grow up to be criminals. This couple felt they could change their path in life and make them functioning members of society. I was devastated to say the least and tried everything I could to get the couple to adopt me. All my actions did was cause me to bounce around in the foster care system until I landed in the home with Charlotte and Jillian. Lee informed me as we pulled up to the house that I would age out of the system soon and end up without anyone in my life if I didn't just accept the fact that JoJo was gone. I needed to become friends with the girls in the house and form lifelong friendships with them to ensure I wouldn't end up alone the rest of my life. Charlotte and Jillian became my sisters in life and encouraged me to talk to Jasper when we saw him at lunch at our regular cafe. We had gone on several uncomfortable dates before he revealed to me who he was and that he had paid a private investigator to find me. I was ecstatic that he still felt the same way about me after all those years, and all those tingling feelings rushed back. I was able to relax by the time he had pulled into the parking lot at the police station. Now, let's go inside and see what Rage called you down here for, Jasper said as he turned the car's engine off. He assisted me as I exited the vehicle and we walked up to the doors. Several uniformed officers were congregating outside with Detective Rage. Mrs. Lee, Mr. Tully, I'm glad you were able to get here so quickly. Please come with me, Rage said as he escorted us into the station. I didn't feel the need to correct him on my name change since it had been so recent and he had met me as Mrs. Lee. I was just going to let it go. I was actually happy about the name change considering Lee wasn't even my real last name. My mother never raised me. She always pawned me off on others. I knew our neighbor and her kids better than I knew my own mother. Most days she would drop me off before the sun came up, and I would be at the neighbor's house until the sun went down. One time, I thought she was actually going to spend the day with me. I was 6, and instead of dropping me off at the neighbor's house, she abandoned me at a hotel, and I never saw her again. I used to tell myself as a teenager that she abandoned me because she was dying and she wanted to protect me from seeing her wither away. I didn't even know her name. Lee was the last name of the officer who found me at the hotel after I had been discovered by the front desk clerk. Every one of the foster families I lived with told me no one knew who my mother was, so they didn't know her name either. As I got older, I knew that had to be a lie. A child found abandoned would result in a search for the birth parents. My picture would have been all over the news. Someone would have to recognize me and told the police who she was. I had never met my biological father and was sure even my mother didn't know who he was. Rage led us into the same room we had been in before. It was the same room where all the pictures of the missing girls had been posted up on a board. It was the same room where Jasper revealed he had deciphered the decoded messages from the butcher and was able to give us a name. What is this all about? I asked as we entered the room. A photograph was found with the body this morning, Rage explained. Okay, and I pressed. We are certain the photo is of you. As a child, Rage informed. I want to see it. There was a message on the back. I want to see it, I reiterated. Are you sure you can handle this emotionally? He asked, concerned. Just let me see it, I insisted. Rage handed me the photo. It was sealed inside a clear evidence bag. I wasn't sure how old I was in the picture, but I could tell it had been taken around the time I was less than a year old. I recognized the surroundings. I was at the neighbor's house. I remembered the faded plastic playhouse in the backyard. I was sure we weren't related, but around the time that I was 2, I began to call her Auntie May. In the photo, I was sitting on a powder blue huffy blanket surrounded by toys. I'm sorry, fluffy blanket. I don't know why I said huffy. Fluffy blanket. I turned the photo over, pasted to the back in the same eerie single letters as the wedding card were the words, "You were a mistake." What is that supposed to mean? I asked, tears welling up under my eyelids. We were hoping you would know, Rage said with a slight irritation in his tone. Why would Why would you show her that? Jasper said, enraged. I don't know what is going on. I was hoping you could shed some light on the message and explain what it meant, Rage informed. It is obviously being used to taunt her. The killer very clearly wants to upset her. Wouldn't it just have been easier to keep the photo to yourself and use it as evidence to connect any other bodies you find to the same killer? Jasper lectured Rage. Jasper wrapped his arms around me as I wiped the tears from my face. As I snuggled into his chest, my cell phone rang. I leaned into him and retrieved the device from my pocket. The caller identification display showed me it was Charlotte. I have to take this, I said, pulling away from Jasper. I slid my finger across the bottom of the screen to answer the call. Hey, Charlotte, what's going on? How much longer are you going to be there? She asked. Maybe a while. Why? I wondered. You have a visitor who showed up about 20 minutes ago and she is insisting on waiting for you. Who is it? I don't know. She won't tell me. The only thing she did say is her name is Rebecca Sims and she needs to speak to you. Well, okay then. I don't know anyone named Rebecca Sims, but let her know I should be there in about half an hour, I told Charlotte and then hung up. I returned to the area where Jasper and Rage were still standing. Jasper draped his arm over my shoulders and pulled me in close to him, kissing my forehead gently. Who was that? Jasper asked. It was Charlotte. We need to go. There's a guest at the center waiting for me, I explained. I thought the new guest you were expecting was a teenage boy. Why does he need to talk to you? Jasper pondered. It's not Anthony Miller. Charlotte said her name is Rebecca Sims. I don't know anyone by that name, nor do I know how she knows me, I said. Could she possibly be the family member of one of the guests? Jasper analyzed, as the tone in his voice raised an octave, and he shrugged his shoulders. Mrs. Lee, I apologize if I offended you in any way. It was not my intention, and I'm very sorry. If you would like me to, I can do a background check on this Rebecca Sims and find out who she really is, Rage said. I haven't even met her yet. I don't find her threatening in any way. There is no need for a background check just because someone showed up at the center to talk to me. I'll call you if I think of anything, I told him. Plus, Rebecca Sims could just be someone wanting to tour the center, but wants the special tour from the butcher victim. Jasper and I headed out to the car toward the center. Ooh, this is where it gets good, bitches. Hell yeah, bougie. It's about to get good. Who's bougie? Who's bougie? That's not bougie. You know who bougie? You know who's bougie? This little girl right here. This little bougie bitch right here. Oh, absolutely refused to let me put her diaper cover on because it didn't have a skirt. She said, bitch, no, and throw it. So there you go. Anywho, who's ready? Who's ready? Only because I know who the visitor is. And everybody's going to be like, what the fuck? All right. Hold on. Chapter 3. Bitch, I need some popcorn too. Ooh. I wouldn't be able to read if I had popcorn. I'd do it by the handfuls. You know? That's how I eat popcorn. Anywho. All right, chapter 3. The Vera dress. Ah, yeah, bougie. Hey. Could have been on clearance. Oh, and by the way, I also figured out why last time it said that, or didn't say that I was live, because the only way to find it was if I shared it, because it was unlisted. I forgot to put it public, which is fine. The wedding dress is bougie, which was fine because I was testing it. So only the people who I invited in came in. That's why the numbers keep jumping and going astronomical at some points and then dropping. Because at one point, I think I had like 70 something people in here and then it just like cut off. So, anyway, it's because now I'm public, so anybody can see me. Anybody can pop in and anybody can say some of the most weirdest crap, which I know you've seen. It's a lot different than TikTok, so I know I'm going to get some weird what the fucks come in. Okay, chapter 3, because here we go, y'all. Get ready to dive into this one. It's going to get crazy. All right. I was taken aback when I entered the front door to the center and saw the woman. She stood a total of 5 feet 3 inches tall and appeared to be in her late 50s. Her slim build and blonde hair seemed familiar to me. I felt as though I had seen her somewhere before, but I couldn't figure out from where. Just as the door closed behind us, she approached Jasper and me. "Mackenzie, is that you? All grown up?" she said. "You must be Rebecca Sims. What can I do for you?" I said, coldly, then looked into her eyes. I felt something. "I'm sorry. Do I know you? I feel like I've seen you somewhere before." I felt my face contort into a look of confusion as she spoke. "It has been a long time. Too long. As a matter of fact, I'm so sorry," Rebecca said as she reached her hands up to touch my face. "I'm sorry. But who are you exactly?" I asked, backing away from her touch. "I thought you would have recognized me right away, but I see I'm going to have to help you." "It has been too long." "Mackenzie, it's me, honey. I'm your mother," she said. I noticed the awkward stares from Charlotte and Jillian, who were watching the expression on my face change from confusion to anger as they stood at the reception desk. Jasper kept his eyes locked on the woman who stood before us. "That is not funny. Who the hell do you think you are?" I asked, stepping up to her face to face, our noses almost touching. Rebecca bent her elbows and raised her hands, palms out to her shoulders as if to surrender. She stepped back away from me. "It wasn't meant to be funny. I didn't mean to upset you. I have other things to worry about without some crazy psycho watching the news and feeling the need to make a joke out of my situation. I'm not a sideshow attraction." I pushed past the woman and walked through the center to my office. I stepped up to my desk with my back facing the door and slammed my hands down on the mahogany finish. "Mackenzie, are you okay?" Jasper asked from the doorway. I turned around to see Jasper, Charlotte, and Jillian peeking in at me. They were my only family. They were my true family. "I didn't mean to upset you," Rebecca's voice came from out in the hall. "Get out, bitch! Just leave!" I shouted through the doorway. It was silent as we listened to her footsteps head through the reception area and out the main doors. Why would someone turn my life into a joke? A dead woman was found with a photo of me as a baby, and the message on the back said I was a mistake. Now this woman shows up claiming to be my mother. How much more do I have to be subjected to before my life can go back to normal?" I said emphatically. "What photo? Is that why Detective Rage wanted to see you? What happened with that? What did he say?" Charlotte asked in succession. "There was a photo of me found with the victim this morning. I was probably just under a year old. The message on the back was the same as always, several letters cut out and pasted into a message." I told them. Why would the copycat do that? Also, was that something that was released to the media during Malachi's reign? How would the copycat know that if no one was told? Charlotte wondered. Maybe it is someone who knows Malachi personally. Maybe they worked together and now this guy is acting alone. Or maybe this guy is the one who initially sent the messages to point you toward Malachi so he could get him out of the way. Or maybe, Jillian contributed, or maybe you could shut up and give us time to think about the situation going on right now instead of analyzing the past. Charlotte scolded Jillian, just like she always did when Jillian went off on tangents. Don't worry, Mac. We will all make sure that woman never comes back here again, Jasper reassured me. Why would someone do that? Why would someone decide one day, I'm going to pretend to be that girl's long lost mother? What a cruel woman, Charlotte said. Let's call Detective Rage and see if he can bring her in for questioning. He may be able to find out if there is a connection between this woman and the photo, Jillian suggested. Why would there be a connection? Are you saying that this woman is possibly a killer? Charlotte argued. Maybe she is. Maybe she planted the photo with the body in order to make a statement, Jillian hypothesized. Or maybe she's some random person looking for a handout. Poor or orphan girl becomes the victim of a serial killer, but survives and pulls herself up in order to help others who have also succumbed to tragedy. A center opens, which in turn yields a huge payout for said orphan. Woman watches the news, sees story, and thinks, I need money. I'm going to pretend to be her mother and see if she gives me any. Thus, in turn, lady shows up pretending to be her mother, Charlotte said with a newscaster tone. Okay, please stop. I don't care what that woman's motive was or is. I just want to pretend like it never happened. Also, Detective Rage offered to do a background check on her. I couldn't tell if he was trying to be helpful or if he just wants to know everything about everyone I come into contact with. I rejected that idea to him because at the time, I didn't know what she wanted. I didn't know who she is. I didn't want to know who she is. I just wanted her to go away. So let's get back to business. Where is Gabrielle? I need to inform her that the honeymoon is on hold until further notice, I announced. I need to make sure our guests and their families are taken care of. Don't worry, Mackenzie. We will take care of it. You just need to deal with whatever is going on and let us take care of the center, Gabrielle said from the doorway. No way. These guests are my responsibility, and I plan to keep it that way, I told her, extending my hand for her to hand over the files she was holding. We were expecting 3 new guests this week. 3 out of the 4 were coming due to the loss of a parent. Johnny Gray was 12 years old. He was only expected to stay until the investigation of the fire that killed his parents was completed. He was being investigated only because he was able to get out before the house was engulfed in flames and stood at the curb watching the house burn. If he is cleared, he will go live with his aunt and uncle. If they determine he is the one who set the fire, he will be admitted into a psychiatric hospital. I thought about the boy named Johnny. I thought about the boy named Johnny I had stayed with in one of my many foster homes. He set a fire in his room and helped me escape before the house was ravaged. We slept on the streets for a couple of weeks before we were found. He was taken to a juvenile detention center, and I was sent to my next home. Then there was Simone Feeney, who lost her father a year prior in Iraq. During a home invasion, she was knocked unconscious and her mother was raped. Her mother, Susan, was going to be here too. She was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and needed help taking care of Simone. We also had Aiden Warner, who had lost his mother when he was 2, and she walked out on him and his father. It had only been 3 days since his father was on his way to pick up Aiden from school and was hit and killed when another driver ran a red light, slammed into the driver's side of the car. The force caused the car to flip over, crushing the top of the car and severing Mr. Warner's spine. He died on impact, and Aiden had seemed lost, according to the social worker, who thought he would be better off at the center than bouncing around in the foster care system until they could locate his mother. I don't think our guests and their families need to see the administrator addled. Take a couple of days to make sense of what is going on around you. After those couple of days, we can revisit the situation, Gabrielle said before walking away, still in possession of the files. What is going on here? Why am I losing control of my life? How did this happen? I asked aloud. I wasn't exactly looking for an answer to any of the questions, but Charlotte chimed in anyway. You're not losing control of your life, just an employee. I'll talk to her for you and get things straightened out. She stood and started to leave the office. Wait a minute! That is exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone's trying to handle situations for me. Charlotte, please, let me do my job and stop trying to take over everything. Everyone, get back to work, I said, irritated. Charlotte and Jillian left my office, and I sat down in my chair behind my desk. Jasper came around and placed his hand on my shoulder. Don't worry, sweetie. Someday, everything will be back to normal, he said, then kissed the top of my head before leaving as well. I was left alone with my thoughts, so I booted up my computer in order to do a little research on the woman who claimed to be my mother. If she had any online presence, I would be able to find her. As soon as the home screen popped up, I clicked on the internet icon at the bottom of my screen. I typed abandoned children into the search bar. I knew it would yield a large result, but I could weed out current stories and find something around the time I was found. I never realized how much of an epidemic it had become for parents to abandon their children until I scrolled past 6 pages worth of search results and I was still seeing stories from the 21st century. I decided to narrow my search and typed in abandoned children from the 1980s. That provided even worse results. Abandoned buildings and George Orwell's 1984. I then decided to search Rebecca Sims. I typed her name into the search bar and clicked search. That also resulted in several unnecessary search results. Social media pages for everyone in the world named Rebecca Sims came up in the search, but that was worthless. I would have to visit each of those social media pages to see which one belonged to her. But how do I even know she would even know how to use social media? I felt as though I was hitting a brick wall. If she truly was my mother, that would mean my last name was Sims. Everyone always called me by my first name. So at the time, I didn't know I was supposed to have 2 names. When Officer Lee asked me what my last name was, I couldn't tell her. She took me back to the station and called child services. I stayed with her that first night before going into my first foster home. I asked the officer if I could use her name as my last name so I would always remember her. I remembered her eyes tearing up as she agreed that it would be okay. From then on, I was known as Mackenzie Lee. My last option was to ask the foster family I was living with when I met Charlotte and Jillian. There was only one problem with asking them. They didn't like me very much growing up. I refused to conform to their idea of a well-behaved child due to the fact that I was bounced around so much, I didn't know if I was going to stay there long. I didn't feel the need to conform to their expectations if I would just have to turn around and join another family. It was my last option and my only hope to finding out who my real mother was. I needed to find out if Rebecca was just some random person looking for a handout or if she was credible. Ooh. As the shitteth hit the fanneth. Camaro. Knew it! Damn. Aha! Christy Triggins. I'll tell you this much, though. That Google search for missing children in 1984, or in the 1980s, that was real. It came up with, hold on, because I actually Googled it. It actually came up with abandoned buildings in George Orwell's 1984. When I said abandoned children from the 1980s, that is exactly what happened when I Googled it when I was researching this book. It was amazing. Dude, what time is it? Ah, shit. I said 8:30. Hey, I needed to know what would actually happen. I wanted to know. What would happen if I Googled this now? Plus, not only that, but let's see. Let's see what happens if I Google it now. Hmm? Let's see what would happen. Abandoned children in the 1980s. Okay, so they did not have AI back then. So it first comes up with an AI thing. But after that, 1980s to 1990s, Roman orphans phenomenon. So there's that. It actually gives you missing children, orphanages, 3 abandoned children, 2 missing parents, and a 40-year mystery. This actually gives you actual things. Google's gotten a lot better since then. You remember back in the day when you would Google shit and go, that is so not what I asked. Interesting. There was a Romanian orphan crisis in the 80s. Nice. I know, right? Hooray for Google. It's come a long way. Plus, with the AI thing, it helps a little bit. And it's starting to get really hot in here. There we go. Whew. I was actually shocked when I was like, holy crap, there actually is shit in here. Nice. Damn, considering the fact that there was a missing children's panic in the 1980s. I'm sorry. What the fuck? Yeah, in the US, the missing children's panic. The early 1980s saw a massive public outcry regarding child abductions. Oh, which led to the creation of the Missing Children Act of 1982. Good grief. Oh, yeah, that's where they started putting the children's faces on milk cartons. Oh, and then, of course, there had to be that Adam Walsh thing that happened then, too. So there's that. Bring back Jeeves so I can go back to asking him. Ask Jeeves. Now they have Alexa. You don't have to ask Jeeves. You ask Alexa. Because with this one, all you have to do is say just the slightest thing close enough to her name and she pops up for no reason. And you have to keep going. That's not what I said, bitch. Mm-hmm. I asked Google. Googly moogly. That's where I go all the time. But because I'm not going to pay Google for using their name, that's why I said the internet icon and typed in the search bar. Because Google is a very large company. If I were to use it in my copyrighted print, I would be in breach of the copyright and I would have to pay them. That is also why in one of my books that I have written, which gets published in 2029, I refer to it as a social media video sharing app. Because if it were referenced as YouTube, because YouTube is a large corporation, Alexa, don't be listening. That's right. I would have to pay them because this is copyrighted. I cannot use their likeness unless I ask. I have to ask in writing, hey, I'm writing a book. Can I use your name? I learned that. Hey, I would get an Alexa just to have it mock me. I do love, though, how when I'm going to say that, at one time, when he was talking to his Alexa and it just randomly started making fart noises. And then he played with the fart noises on it. But that's not what he was asking for. So the fact that it just started playing fart noises when he'd asked it a serious question. And it just randomly said, that was a wet one. Oh my God. Fucking Alexa. I heard that in a Tesla, you can actually program the horn to fart when you honk the horn. Yeah. Could you imagine driving down the street and all you start hearing is this farting sound because somebody is honking their horn? uh, oh, that is so funny. I loved that name. I'm sorry. I love the name Malachi, and that's why I had to use it because I knew it was going to be used several times because I just love the name Malachi. So there you go, Camaro. We were meant to meet at some point. So there you go. Anyway. Okay. Chapter 4. I've already been on for 75 minutes. So chapter 4. I am getting pretty good. I'm getting pretty far, so that is good. All right. Everyone was gathered in the reception area when I finally emerged from my office. Their conversation ceased when they noticed me. Hey, Jillian began, I'm sorry. Hey, Jillian began, dragging out the word so long. uh, it was more for sympathy rather than a friendly greeting. How you doing? Look, I'm not sad, so don't treat me like I'm going to break down and cry any minute. I'm angry. Angry that my mother abandoned me at age 6, and angry that if that woman was my mother, she felt it was necessary to come back into my life after a traumatic experience, I said. Is there anything you want us to do? Charlotte asked. Yes. I need you to get in touch with our foster parents and find out if they know who my mother was. Her name is really all I need to know, I told her. Jillian was the only one of the three of us that was adopted by our foster parents. She was wanted and adopted as a baby. Charlotte was 10 when she was placed in the house and the option for adoption, with the option for adoption, but they never pushed the option with social services. I was 15 by the time I had arrived, and it was just a place for me to stay for 3 years until they decided it was time for me to leave. Charlotte and Jillian were the only two that were treated like family. I was always treated like an outsider. They didn't exactly care for me the same way they cared for my foster sisters, and there were some days I was ignored. I figured if they would tell anyone anything, it would be either Charlotte or Jillian. The two of them still received birthday and Christmas gifts from our foster parents, but not me. Even when I lived there, I celebrated my birthday alone because Charlotte and Jillian were instructed not to talk to me that day. My final foster parents were tyrants. Is that something you really want to do? They weren't exactly the nicest to you when we were growing up. Who's to say they would even give you that information? Charlotte asked. This is why I need you to ask them, because I'm sure they won't give me that kind of information, I explained. Isn't there someone else you could ask? Jasper suggested. There is one other person, but I only knew her as Auntie May. I don't know anything else about her, or even where she lives, I told him. I can help you. We can go to the last place you remember where she lived and go from there, Jasper said. You do realize I was 6 the last time I saw her, right? I don't remember where she lived. The best I could do is contact Officer Lee and see if there was any information about my mother at the time I was found, I informed them. Maybe Detective Rage can help track down Officer Lee, Jillian said with enthusiasm. Good idea, Jilly. I'll call him and see if he is able to do that, I said, reaching for my cell phone. Before I was able to get into my contacts, the phone rang. The caller ID showed me it was Detective Rage. Perfect timing. I was just going to call you, I said into the receiver after answering the phone. Mrs. Lee, I need you to come back to the station. We had another body found, along with another picture of you, Rage informed me. Are you kidding me? I'll be right there, I said and hung up. What happened? Jillian asked, concerned. They found another body with another note. Jasper, we need to go, I told him. Keep us informed. Let us know when you know something, Charlotte said as we walked out the door. That's two bodies in one day. The copycat killer is escalating, Jasper said as we drove toward the police station. We don't know if these women were both killed today. The one from earlier could have been killed and dumped overnight, while this one could have been dumped when the police were occupied with the first body. I told him. That's true. But either way, if they don't catch this psycho soon, the body count could be higher. Jasper pulled into the parking lot of the police station for the third time that day. I waited for him to come around the car and open the door for me. He liked doing things like that. He always said chivalry was dying off and more parents should teach their boys to be respectful to their women. We entered the police station and were immediately buzzed in. We had been there enough. The officer at the front desk knew who we were and why we were there. Detective, please tell me there is enough viable evidence to have a suspect in mind, I said as we approached Rage. Not yet. This guy definitely knows what he is doing. There is no fingerprints, no hair, no fibers, no DNA. There isn't one shred of evidence to tie anyone to the crimes. Here is the new photo, he said, passing me an 8x10 in a clear plastic evidence bag. I was about 2 in the photo, only wearing a t-shirt and diaper. I was playing with Auntie May's children in her front yard. Moisture glistened around my eyes and down my face. I turned the photo over, and on the back, in the same manner as the others, was a message which read, I should have killed you when I had the chance. I stared at the message, thinking about the recent visitor I'd had. Detective Rage, that woman named Rebecca Sims that had stopped by the center earlier today, she was claiming to be my birth mother. I don't know anything else about her because I was so angry that she even had the thought that it was a good idea to just show up like that. I didn't ask. Rebecca Sims is all I have to go on. I don't know where she is from. Is there any way you could do some digging and find out who my birth mother really is? If it turns out this woman really is my birth mother, I have several questions to ask her, I inquired. You want me to look up Rebecca Sims and see if anything comes up? Rage asked, confused. As a matter of fact, Detective, I would like for you to see if you can get into my social services record and find out if it says anything about my mother, I informed him. Well, we may run into an issue trying to track down social services records, considering they are similar to juvenile misdemeanor charges. Most of those records are sealed and inaccessible, which would mean your parents are listed as unknown on your birth certificate. If a new one was made for you when you entered the foster care system. Also, if this Rebecca Sims doesn't have a police record, there may not be anything we can find. I might be able to get you a last known address if that's helpful, Rage said. That's why I was thinking maybe you could try to locate Officer Lee and see if she knows anything about my birth mother, I suggested. That could be one option. Do you happen to know the first name of this officer, Lee? I know she's female and worked patrol the day I was found, I said, shrugging. It may take a day or two, but I will see what I can do. Is there anything you can tell me about these photos? The messages are very clear. Someone wants her dead, Jasper spoke up. I think it is more than that. Maybe you can check hospital records from the 80s to see if I had been hospitalized as a child for any type of illness or injury on which the hospital staff concluded my mother is the cause, I hypothesized. Why would you think your mother would have harmed you? Rage questioned. The message, I should have killed you when I had the chance. To me, that says she was probably trying to kill me when I was younger, but maybe felt bad after realizing that what she had done had caused me to become ill or injured and took me to the hospital. They would have records of that kind of thing, I said. You're talking about Munchausen syndrome by proxy. It is when a parent either makes up an illness that their child may have, to possibly even making their child sick on purpose to get attention when they take their child to the hospital. It makes them feel important in an otherwise life where they feel as though their child has taken the focus and causes the parent to feel insignificant and wants to turn everyone's focus back on them. It's a good start. Let me look into that as well as the whereabouts of Officer Lee, and I'll get back to you, Rage told me. Both Jasper and I thanked him and shook. Oh, shit. Both Jasper and I thanked him, and shook his hand before leaving. Once again, we headed back to the center. I thought about Rebecca and how shitty it would be for her to be a mother. If she was my mother, how the hell was she able to procreate? If she was my mother, yeah, how the hell was she able to procreate? One day she just decides she doesn't want to be a mother anymore. So at that point, I'm considered as someone else's problem. What kind of a mother just abandons their child in a hotel, trapped in an elevator at that? I hope that bitch wasn't at the center when we were. I hoped that bitch wasn't at the center when we returned. Blah 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 blah. Ay ay ay. Let's see. Yeah, Malachi and Matthias. I love that. Malachi Lee. That is so funny. We were destined, Camaro. Destined. Mm. All right, how we doing so far? I got 3 more chapters to read. Only 3 more chapters to read. Everybody still there? Everybody still awake? Are we awake? Are we listening? Is everybody here? How we doing? Nice. Are you reading along or are you just listening, Miranda? Awesome. Awesome. That's amazing. What about y'all? I see there's only 2 people here, so either Camaro or Christy Jorgensen dropped out. Ah, Camaro's still here. What about you, Camaro? How you liking it? Are you good? Is it better than the others so far? Because you notice how my writing evolves into something better each time. I don't feel like I'm having to edit as much as I'm going through, which is good because I go through a lot more rigorous editing processes now to where I don't have to hate it so much. There's Christy Jorgensen. Oh, you're here? It says 2. It says there's only 2 people here, so there is 3 people here. I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy. Ugh, okay. Let me see. Yeah, it says 2. Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong button. There we go. I wanted to get a 49-second little clip. Because if I hit one of the buttons, it gives me a 49-second clip. So I can post it to my shorts. Be like, look what y'all missed out on. Now it says 3. Okay. I have 3 more chapters to read tonight. I'm not even at the 2-hour mark, so we're good on that end. I may stay on just a little bit longer just to hang out and talk for a little bit, depending on what time it is. Oh, it's only 9 o'clock. I may hang out for a while. There's only 3 more chapters to read. We should be good. All right. When we arrived back to the center, everyone was waiting at the reception desk for us. It was then I remembered it was Friday night. We all went out to dinner together on Friday nights. Charlotte's husband, Tom, and Jillian's husband, Mark, were sitting on a couple of chairs playing cards with Matthew. Jasper joined the guys while I walked up to the desk with the ladies. Hey guys, sorry about dinner, I said. It's not too late. We were just waiting for you two so we could go, Gabrielle said, touching my hand as if to apologize. Okay, well, now that we are here, let's go, I said, clapping my hands together. The guys stood up and we all headed for the door. Just before anyone had time to reach for the door to push it open, Rebecca appeared through the glass. We stood there, gazing out at her as she stood focused on us. Rebecca, what are you doing here? I asked as Jasper reached out and opened the door for her. I just wanted to talk. I'm sorry I sprung the whole I'm your mother thing on you earlier. I didn't mean to upset you in any way. I just wanted to see how you turned out, Rebecca said, tears forming in her eyes. You abandoned me when I was 6 years old at a hotel, I yelled, not feeling any sympathy for her. You have no idea of the struggles I faced being your mother. I wasn't able to effectively be a mother. I'm sorry. After 6 years, you decided you were done? So one day you had an epiphany and thought, hey, I'm going to drop my child off somewhere and just leave her there. You couldn't have thought to leave me with Auntie May? At least she cared about me. Can we please just sit down and talk? I want to tell you my side, she said, pleading with me. It will have to wait. We were on our way out to dinner, I told her, starting to walk past her through the door. Mac, why not give her a chance to explain? Jasper said. No, Jojo, I don't want to hear what lies she wants to tell, I said, continuing to the car. I made it to the parking lot and realized no one had followed me. I was hoping at least Jasper would have come out with me to make sure I was okay. I sat down on the bench that overlooked the garden and cried quietly to myself. I had decided years ago that I didn't miss my mother. She didn't want me in her life, and I had accepted that. I was a shy, timid child who never talked to strangers. But at my first foster home, I wasn't used to all the shit that the foster mother forced us to do. I talked back and was starved and beaten. All those years I spent wishing my mother would show up one day and take me home had dissipated when I faced reality at the age of 12. I decided I didn't need her in my life. At that time, I had Lee and I had just met Jojo. Lee cared for me like a mother should, and she became a surrogate for me. When Lee stopped visiting me, I was old enough to know that she was only there to help me acclimate to my surroundings. Once I had accepted the fact that I would soon be an adult and no longer have a home, I embraced Charlotte and Jillian. At that point, I felt as though Lee had decided that she had completed her mission and allowed me to be me. Because of the photos and notes found with a couple of dead women, I did not want to have anything to do with someone claiming to be my mother. After being surrounded by people constantly after my brush with death, I did, however, appreciate the alone time. I was tired of everyone telling me how to feel. I was angry, damn it, and I had every right to be. You should give her a chance, a small voice said from behind me. She gave you life. I turned to see Matthew, Ansley Kirkland's 4-year-old son, standing a couple of feet back. For a small child, he packed a big message. How did you become so smart? I asked, standing up and walking over next to him. My mommy, he said, a huge grin on his face. I reached down and picked him up into my arms. He laid his head down on my shoulder and wrapped his arms around my neck. I never knew that hug from a small child could feel so comforting and loving. I then thought about the twins I had lost. Sure, they were the result of a sexual assault from a psychopath that had an affinity for necrophilia, but I couldn't help but wonder how they might have turned out. Would they be as sweet and smart as Matthew? Or would I find them attempting to set fire to a neighbor's cat one day and have to send them off to an institution to live out the rest of their days so they aren't a danger to themselves or anyone else? Your mommy was a smart lady, I told him. Yep, she sure was. I really miss her, he said. I miss her too, buddy. But you know what? Matthew shook his head no. She's always with you, I told him. How is she with me if she went to heaven to be with the angels? He asked, puzzled. No matter what, she is always in your heart. You hold a little piece of her in your heart, and you can talk to her anytime you miss her, I told him. Well, your mommy is inside, and she just wants to talk to you. Can't you just give her a chance? Maddie, you don't quite understand the situation. This is different than what happened to your mommy. Your mommy was taken from us by a bad man. That woman in there could be absolutely no one, and all she wants to do is get the story of the butcher from his lone survivor. Gabby's ordering food to bring here, so you can talk to the lady in there, Matthew informed me. She's doing what? Why has my life been taken over by everyone else around me? Why is it that some woman claiming to be my birth mother can show up and somehow I'm the bad guy because I'm the only person who refuses to sit down and have a heart to heart conversation with some stranger? Matthew was so wise in his young years that sometimes I would forget his age and vent my frustration to him. He was a great listener and never judged me and never judged anyone. I thought that's what caused me to open up to a small child rather than to a judgmental adult. Can you at least listen to what she has to say? You don't have to believe her. You don't even have to be friends with her. Just listen to what she has to say. And then this day will be over, he said, smiling at me. Okay, let's go back inside, I said, placing his feet back on the ground. At 4 years old, Matthew had the same mentality I did when I was 6. He reached up and held my hand as though he was leading me back inside, making sure I was right there with him. He led me through the front door, past the reception desk, and into the dining area. Everyone, including Rebecca, was sitting at a table waiting. I assumed they were waiting for Matthew and me to join them. I'm so glad you decided to join us, Rebecca said, motioning toward the chair next to her. No, thank you, I said, sitting down between Jasper and Charlotte. I don't know how many more times you want me to apologize, Mackenzie, Rebecca whined. No, you don't get to call me that. You haven't earned the right, I scolded her. Mackenzie, please just give her a chance to explain. Maybe she has a good reason for letting you go. Gabrielle said in a condescending tone. Letting me go? You make it sound like she did me a favor. I could have been better off with Auntie May, I said. That woman was trying to take you away from me. I couldn't let her get away with that. I couldn't protect you anymore, and she knew it. She was trying to send me to jail with a charge of child neglect. I had to take you away from her before she ruined both of our lives, Rebecca explained, the lights glistening in the moisture pooling in her eyes. So instead, you decide to ruin my life? Growing up in group homes, I lived in shit. Day after day, I hoped that one day my mother would come back for me. Do you know how low of a chance a child has of being adopted after the age of 4? Most couples want babies. I was doomed the second you abandoned me. It wasn't until I met Jojo 7 years later that I stopped crying myself to sleep. Then one day he was taken from me and I reverted back to that sad little girl. I would have been better off if you would have just dropped me off with Auntie May and never came back. At least then I would have felt love. You don't understand, she started. I understand perfectly well. You decided I was a burden on your life, so you resolved to get rid of me, I interrupted. I was beaten, sexually abused, and verbally assaulted, sometimes by the foster parents, sometimes by one of the other foster children in the house. That's how I ended up in a house with 2 girls. I was raped by one of the older boys shortly after Jasper left. And when I told my foster parents, I was called a liar and a slut and was kicked out of the foster home. After that, I bounced around from foster home to foster home, never getting close to anyone, because if I did, that person was just going to be ripped out of my life anyway. I ran away from several homes, and most of the time, they didn't want me back. So off to a new home. In one foster home, I chased a boy around the house with a knife, insisting he tried to rape me. After that incident, my social worker felt it was in my best interest to live in a house with only girls and those that were closer to my age. I was 15 by then and was told if I didn't accept this family into my life, I would end up on the streets. Ugh, shit. I would end up on the streets when I aged out of the system 3 years later. I would make up stories as to why you abandoned me. When I wasn't mad at you, it was because you were dying and didn't want me to see you like that. When I was pissed and couldn't stand the fact that you were even on my mind, it was because you were a whore and didn't have time for a child. You never loved me. You only felt obligated to take care of me because I was your mistake. That's not true. I loved you and worked hard to take care of you and protect you. Because I worked so much, Auntie May was going to report me to child services for abandonment. I did what I had to do to save you. You think that what you did was save me? If you really want me to forgive you for what you did to me, tell me where Auntie May is now. I want to talk to her. I want to hear her side of the events which led up to you abandoning me. I thought you might ask, Rebecca said, producing a small piece of paper from her pocket and handing it to me. I unfolded the paper and scrawled across it was an address. I stared at the writing for a moment, as though I were trying to decipher a code. How do I know this is really her home address? It just seems a little too convenient that you already had it written down and in your pocket for just in case. How can I trust you? I asked. You seem to have a lot of friends at the police station. I'm sure you could ask one of them to validate the address, she said, rolling her eyes tempestuously. Throughout our conversation, Rebecca's tone started as though she really was remorseful for what she did. As the conversation went on and I continued to question her reasons, it became more as irritation than finally mocking. The hurt in her eyes she first showed when I refused to sit next to her had morphed into what I interpreted as pure hatred. She loathed the mere presence of me, which was inherently clear considering the situation. I decided that the reason she abandoned me was because I was no longer the cute baby and little kid all children are before the age of 5. Most children, by the time they turn 5 years old, they adapt to their own personalities, and she saw my personality as a conflict to her. When the food arrived, Gabrielle decided it was time to make small talk and ignore the awkward conversation that had transpired. So, Rebecca, what do you do? She changed the subject. I'm a legal secretary, Rebecca answered. Oh, really? How long have you done that? Gabrielle continued. I went back to school after I lost Mackenzie and have been a legal secretary ever since, Rebecca said, as if her life had been better in the years after I was gone. Lost? You never lost me. You abandoned me. You know what? This is bullshit, I said, standing. I decided I was done listening to Rebecca talk. I left the table and headed toward my office to get some work done and to be alone. What the bitch? Damn. I love how pissed she is. She's like super pissed. Super pissed. I'm going to have to plug this in and see if I can't put it next to the Wi-Fi in order to get that video to upload. Like this video to upload. I'm going to upload my live. Hell yeah. How we doing so far? Everybody still with me? Is it still good? We still all good? Everybody good? Everybody making it? Am I alone? Yeah, there we go. I learned how to bring out the emotion. As a matter of fact, I have a book. I have a book that says how to invoke emotion in your writing. So I had to read it. It's amazing. It's awesome. I love it. All right. As we go, chapter 6. Washing dishes. I have a dishwasher to do that for me. I might end up doing it myself for a little bit. Where just wash dishes, and because it's only going to be just me and Aria, so why would I need a dishwasher for all that? Anyway, let's see. All right, chapter 6. Broken. I can imagine. It's always crazy when the boys got to go to bed. Look, I got a sleeping baby. I got a sleepy baby. Sleepy baby. It took her until 9 to go to sleep. Ah. All right. The next day was Saturday, and I decided to spend it with my new husband and no one else. We woke up early before anyone had arrived at the center and left for breakfast. It was so relaxing just being with him. Are you doing okay this morning? He asked as he drove down the street. I'm fine and would rather not talk about that woman right now, I told him. No problem, Kenzie. Can we talk about whatever you want? We can talk about whatever you want. How about this weather, huh? Jasper said, laughing. I smiled and looked down at my hands. The two of us together, not talking about anything in particular, was the best stress reliever. Did you want to go with me to visit Auntie May? I asked Jasper once we had arrived at the restaurant and sat at a table. I would love to go with you, if that is what you want, he replied. Of course. Of course it's what I want. I wouldn't have asked otherwise. Did you want to talk to Detective Rage first and have him validate the address before we go? Jasper asked, reaching across the table to touch my hand. I don't necessarily have to talk to Rage. I'm sure the officer at the front desk could do that as well, I told him, rubbing my thumb back and forth across his fingers. I don't you want to see what information he was able to dig up about Rebecca? I really don't want to know what generic information he has, I said, just as the food arrived. We ate in silence, and I was just running several scenarios in my head of how May would react when she saw me. I could only hope that she would have more of an emotional response than what Rebecca had. You want to talk about what happened to you in foster care? You seem to be holding a lot of resentment, he said. Well, let's pay the check and get going, I told him, shaking my head and pushing my half-empty plate away from me. Jasper opened the check presenter the server had left on the table after she cleared our plates. He pulled some cash out of his wallet and placed it inside the presenter. Standing up, presenting his hand to me, and helping me into a standing position, we left. When we made it out to the car, we saw Rebecca leaning against the hood as though she were waiting for us. Jasper placed his arm across my shoulders as if for protection, and we approached her slowly. Rebecca, what are you doing here? I asked angrily. I need to talk to you alone, please, she said. No, not alone. Whatever you have to say to me, you can say in front of Jasper, I told her, reaching up to interlace my fingers with his. Okay, well, Auntie May was abusive. I didn't want to tell you in front of your friends. She used to sexually abuse you. I caught her one time, and she told me that if I said anything to anyone, she would kill me. That's why I had to get you away from her. She's a bad person. You can't go see her. Please, I'm begging you, she rambled. Get off the car, I said through clenched teeth. I wasn't even going to dignify her accusations with a response. Jasper stayed quiet, like usual, and assisted me into the passenger seat. Once the car door was closed, I heard Jasper speak to Rebecca. Please, just leave her alone. She has been through so much in her life already. Just leave her alone, he told her calmly. No way. She is my daughter, and I will make sure she is safe and well taken care of, she told Jasper as he rounded the back of the car to the driver's side. So you want some kind of Mother of the Year award for wanting to take care of your child now that she's an adult and can take care of herself? Well, I'm in her life to do what you never did for her. If you ever come anywhere near her again, I will take care of you. And yes, we We have connections at the police station that will have no problem helping me cover you up, Jasper threatened her, before opening the car door and sliding in behind the wheel without giving her a chance to respond. He pulled out of the parking space and drove toward the police station. I couldn't believe Rebecca thought ambushing us with lies and made up stories was a good idea. I knew for a fact that what she was saying was a lie due to the way I felt about May. It was with loving feelings, not fear and hatred, like most of my foster families and my own mother. I think it I think she is following behind us, Jasper said, glancing in the rearview mirror. Are you kidding me right now? I said, turning around and peering out the back window. Why do you think she's trying to keep you from visiting the neighbor? I'm sure May will tell me how horrible of a mother Rebecca was. Or this woman is a nobody and the address means nothing. For all I know, this could be the address to a vacant house or an abandoned factory, I hypothesized. When he parked the car at the station, I didn't even give him the chance to come around to help me out. I just opened the door and climbed out myself. He met me around the passenger side of the car and I embraced him. Rebecca pulled up behind our vehicle, blocking our entrance to the police station. I had enough of this woman and just wanted her to leave me alone. I rolled down She rolled down her driver's side window in order to speak to me without exiting her vehicle. Please, Mackenzie, listen to me. This isn't something you want to do, Rebecca pleaded. I will have you arrested right now if you don't leave me alone. I will flag down an officer walking to their patrol car. Go away, I yelled at her. Can I at least come by the center later tonight so we can talk? She asked. If I decide that I ever want to see you again, I will contact you, I told her as Jasper led me around the back of her vehicle. Damn. Whew. She drove away before we made it to the front doors. I hugged Jasper, silently thanking him for understanding my anger toward Rebecca. Together, we entered the police station. I didn't know Detective Rage was expecting you, the officer at the front counter said as we approached. He's not. I wanted to see if you could validate an address for me. I want to make sure this address belongs to the person it is supposed to, I told her. Sure, let's see, she said as I passed her the folded piece of paper Rebecca had given me the night before. The officer tapped away at her keyboard for a few moments before looking up at me to reveal her findings. She handed the paper back to me. The address is registered to a May Clifton. Says she has 2 children and a deceased husband. I hope that is helpful. The officer said, That is exactly what I needed. Thank you, I told her before we left. Is that the May you are looking for? I mean, it has been several years. It's surprising if she even still lives there, Jasper analyzed after we were back on the road. How many people in this city can be named May and have 2 children? And I never saw her husband, so it is possible he died. I just needed to validate that the address existed and someone named May lived there, I told him. Makes sense. Okay, so where are we headed? He asked. I handed him the folded piece of paper with the address on it. He opened it up and glanced at it. At the next traffic light, he pulled into the parking lot of a gas station. What are we doing? What are we doing here? I wondered. I'm not exactly sure where this is. I'm going to need some major global positioning, he joked. Okay, okay then. I pulled out my phone and selected my maps application. I typed in the address and waited for the GPS to locate our position. It showed to go. It shows. Ugh. I feel like I should get coffee before I read. Whew. It shows to go straight down this road for about 10 blocks. I'll tell you when it shows to turn, I informed him. I am at your mercy of direction, he said, smiling. I guided him the way the maps was directing until we had reached our destination. Jasper pulled up to a gated townhome complex. The gate was open, which was lucky since May didn't know we were coming. I didn't want to have to explain over the intercom who I was. Each townhome had finely manicured lawns and well-maintained paint jobs. Ugh. After Jasper found a parking spot at the end of the row of homes that were marked with a series of numbers of home numbers that matched with the address Rebecca had given to me, we exited the vehicle and walked down the row. Once we found the one that was marked with the house number from the piece of paper, I turned and stared at the front door. The the brown bricks meshed well with the tan paint on the wood siding. Are you ready? Jasper asked before stepping up to the front door. I think so, I sighed as I scanned the rest of the houses down the row. Ugh, motherfucker. Jasper stood next to me on the sidewalk in front of the house. As I glared at the front door, I was trying to gather the courage to ring the doorbell. After a few moments, he draped his arm over my shoulders and led me to the front door. Once we were standing on the porch, I took a deep breath and reached out to press the doorbell. It made the standard ding dong sound that probably came with the house. We stood on the front porch, waiting for someone to answer the door. Only a few moments went by before we heard the sound of the deadbolt disengaging. Jasper lowered his arm and held my hand. I felt safe with him, no matter what the outcome of this visit. The door swung open. A woman in her mid-60s with dark brown hair, well taken care of skin, and beautiful clothing stood on the other side. Are you May Clifton? I asked. Yes. Can I help you? She replied. I know this is going to sound crazy, but my name is Mackenzie, and I think I grew up in the house next door to you, I told her timidly. Tears began to form in her eyes as she examined me. She stepped out of the house and stood directly in front of me, gazing into my eyes as if she was trying to see the small child I used to be. Little Mackenzie Sims? Is that you? The woman said, surprised. Are you Auntie May? I asked her. Oh, sweet girl, you do remember me, May said, reaching her hands up and touching my face. I always wondered if I would ever see you again. You have grown into a beautiful young woman. Please, come in. She released my face from her grasp and motioned us into the house and led us to the living room after closing the front door. We lowered ourselves onto the sofa as she flapped her arms in a gesture which told us to sit down. Anyone want anything to drink? And cookies? I have cookies. Just wait here. I'll be right back, she said, heading toward the kitchen. She seems nice, Jasper said. Now I see why you are bitter about not growing up with her. That's not the only reason why I'm bitter. My mother ditched me when I was 6 and technically took me away from the only person who ever really cared about me when I was a kid, I told him. A few moments later, she returned with a tray wielding tea and cookies. She placed the tray on the coffee table, handed both Jasper and me a cup and a napkin with a peanut butter cookie. So, Mackenzie, what brings you by? May asked as if I had come over for gossip. I just can't believe you are here. I thought I would never see you again. I need to ask you about my birth mother. A woman showed up at my place of business claiming to be my mother, I inquired. I always thought of you as my own child. I was devastated when you and your mother disappeared, she explained. She never came back to the house. She never came back to the house after we left that morning, I wondered. I saw her packing luggage into the car before she brought you out. That's why I asked how you were feeling that morning. I wanted to make sure you weren't scared, she informed me. Auntie May and I had our own kind of language. She taught me sign language for all of the feelings I could express to her. She taught me sign language for all of the feelings so I could express to her how I was feeling, even if I didn't want to or couldn't talk about it. What can you tell me about her? I asked. Rebecca Sims. What a sorry excuse for a mother. I'm sorry, sweetie. I don't know what your feelings are for her, but that woman was not a mother to you, May began. She showed up yesterday and has been stalking me and trying to get my family and friends on her side so she can lie to me. I know for a fact that most of what she has told me is a lie. Did she ever treat me as though she cared for me? She would drop you off with me at 7 in the morning. Both of you would still be in your PJs, and she would just hand you over. She would go back to the house and, I assumed, go back to bed. I would bathe you, dress you, and feed you. I did it all for free because I just wanted to make sure you were taken care of. I I knew, or at least had a gut feeling, that she would do something bad to you if she thought she had to pay for your child care. As May spoke, I could see the anger build on her face as she contorted her eyebrows and forehead, creasing two horizontal wrinkles, below her hairline and one cervical crevice between her eyes. She has made it abundantly clear she has made it abundantly clear she wants in my life. I was so young when she abandoned me. I don't really remember her as a mother. She has been extremely aggressive, and I don't think I can handle her right now. I'm going through my own issues in my life, and I don't have time to deal with her, I told May. I saw the news about the butcher. Are you the Mackenzie from the news? Yes. I was abducted from my home, taken to a serial killer's lair, and tortured before being raped, then dumped outside of a hospital after being stuffed inside a plastic storage box. I killed him though, so I'm safe from him, I told her. The news revealed a copycat killer on the loose. How are you dealing with that? I have a great support system at home, I said, placing my hand on Jasper's knee, and two great foster sisters I am proud to call family. That's great. I'm glad things turned out well for you. I can tell you this much. If Rebecca Sims has come back into your life, it is because she needs something, and I'm going to assume it is money, or she needs a place to stay, May warned. She never gave me anything in my life. I'm not giving her anything either. She said that the reason she abandoned me that day is because she was trying to protect me from you. You were trying to take me away from her. And to top it off, she claimed that you were sexually assaulting me. She also claimed that you threatened to kill her if she told anyone. Do you know what really happened? I can honestly say yes. I can honestly say yes and no. One night, she came to pick you up and told me she didn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. I suggested that I could take you for a while until she was ready to be a mother. That didn't go over too well. She screamed at me, and said I was trying to take you from her. The next day, she didn't drop you off, and I was standing outside as she was packing things into her car. She brought you out and put you in the car. That was the last time I saw you and her, as a matter of fact. She never came back to the house, and it sat vacant for a year before the bank auctioned it off, and now someone else lives there. When I saw the news story about the young girl abandoned in a hotel, I just knew it was you. I went to the police and told them about you and your mother. So that would mean that there is a record of who my mother was. Did they ever bring her in for questioning? Did anyone try to find her? Did anyone check to see if I had any other family I could go live with rather than being put in the system? I told the police that your name was Mackenzie Sims and your mother was Rebecca Sims. They interrogated me to her whereabouts for about 2 hours. I had no idea where she was. I just wanted to make sure you were being taken care of, she revealed. If they knew my last name, why did they let me keep the last name Lee and never tell me about my mother? I don't know. And I didn't know where they had taken you. Why didn't you try to gain custody of me? I did try. Unfortunately, I wasn't certified by the state as a foster parent, so they wouldn't let me take you. So they wouldn't let me take you home. I tried so hard to get you back. I took all the classes they suggested and put in an application for adoption. By the time I was finished with everything, I was told you were no longer available. I never gave up, and every 3 months for 4 years, I asked about you. The last time I asked child services about having you come live with me, I was told you had been adopted and the family didn't want to be contacted. I just hope you were part of a loving family. May's eyes teared up again, and when she blinked, a single drop of moisture escaped and rolled down her cheek. Oh, Auntie May, I had no idea, I said, standing. I love hearing you call me Auntie May, she said as I walked over, sat on the sofa next to her, and wrapped my arms around her. As we embraced, my eyes welled up, blurring my vision. May backed away from my cuddle. You have to stay for dinner. The kids would love to see you again, May said, smiling. I would love to, but we'll have to wait for another time. How about Monday night? You can come by the center with your kids, and you can meet my extended family. We can have dinner together and catch up. I invited her, clapping my hands together. That's right. I heard you had opened a recovery center for abused women, May said. Technically, it is for anyone who has suffered a tragedy, whether it be amputation or a severe car accident, sexual assault, or even if they don't feel safe in their home anymore because of a break in. We have one guest staying with us because she has an ex boyfriend stalking her, and he would throw things through her front window. When he knew she was in that room, he broke into her house a couple of times and took photos of her while she slept. Then he would email them to her. We also have children staying with us. Some of them are there because their mother was a victim of sexual assault or other violent crime, and they no longer feel safe in their homes. There are other children there because I also run a foster home for older orphan children. Then there are those who were in a terrible accident, and we supply them with prosthetics. I told her, wow, it sounds like you have your hands full. The weekends are pretty busy. Guests have to have visitors on the weekends. Guests get to have visitors on the weekends. So we usually have people going in and out all day long. Mondays are quiet because it is takeout night and everyone pretty much stays in their room. So it will just be the family, I told her. That sounds perfect. We will be there, she said. Jasper stood and offered his hand to me. Help me into a standing position. Helping me into a standing position. May walked up to the front door. She hugged us both, and we headed back to the center. I gotta refill my cup. Okay. Let's see. I call BS. A cup of coffee. I'm making you yawn. I'd be worried that I'd never go to sleep. If I had coffee right now, I probably would never want to go to sleep. I'd be wired. Oh, I only got 2 more chapters to read. 7 and 8. So I'm going to get on that now. Oh, look at that. It's only 9:30. It's only 9:40. So we're doing pretty good. I've been on for 2 hours. We're doing pretty good. Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I started at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm usually doing this for 4 hours. So I won't even be on for 4 hours. That's great. Or at least that's how it was going last. Yeah. Which is good because I got work to do. I got to deal with all the other books I'm dealing with right now. So there's that. Let's see. By the time we had arrived back to the recovery center, it was late that Saturday afternoon. Jillian was behind the reception desk filling some paperwork when we came through the front door. Hey, Jilly, where is everyone? I asked. Gabrielle is overseeing the 4 o'clock therapy session, and Charlotte is assisting Matthew with the children. They are out in the garden visualizing peace, she told me. There is about 15 minutes left. Come on, Mac. Let's go change our clothes and meet up with everyone later, Jasper said, kissing me on the cheek. He turned toward Jillian. When they come back, please call and let us know. I'm sure Mackenzie has a few things she needs to talk to all of you about. I nodded and allowed him to lead me to our room. Our luggage for our honeymoon still resided next to the bedroom door, packed up and ready to go as soon as the new killer was caught. I retreated to the lavatory and splashed water on my face, trying to soak in all the horrific details of my life up to the age of 6. I was glad to know my mother didn't beat me. She just neglected me. That would explain why all my happy memories included Auntie May. And the only thing I could really remember about my mother was the last day I saw her. I joined Jasper in the bedroom and changed into a fresh outfit. I thought about what May had told me and laid down on the bed next to my husband and leaned on him for comfort. Do you think my life would have turned out differently if I would have grown up with Auntie May? I asked. It is possible, Jasper responded. Do you think we would still be together if my life would have turned out differently? I don't know. I do have a confession, though. What is it? I said, taking a deep breath and preparing myself for the worst. I paid someone to find you for me, Jasper confessed. What do you mean? I never stopped thinking about you. The second I got a job and moved out of my adopted parents' house, I started saving money so I could find you. And when I had enough money, I felt was sufficient enough to take care of you and a family, I paid a private investigator to find you. I followed you to the diner that day, and I made sure you saw me. I missed you so much after I was adopted from that foster home. I promised myself one day we would be together again. I was 13 when you were taken from me at that group home. I cried myself to sleep until I was 15, when I was transferred to another foster family with the option of adoption. That's where I met Charlotte and Jillian. I thought about you every day and had pretty much lost hope that I would ever see you again. Of course, when we first started dating after that day in the diner, I thought you were married or a psychopath when you wouldn't kiss me. And every time we held hands or I tried to hug you, you would abruptly leave. I told him. That was because I was trying to figure out how to tell you who I was. I didn't know how you would feel about seeing me again, Jasper explained. As he leaned in to kiss me, the phone on the bedside table began to ring. I groaned and leaned over to answer it. The phones in the rooms are connected only to the center. They do not make or receive outside calls. I knew it had to be Jillian. This is Mackenzie, I said into the receiver just in case it was a guest. Kenzie, everyone is up here at the reception desk now, waiting for your news, Jillian said on the other end of the line. We will be right there, I said, replacing the receiver to its base. Jasper stopped me before I could make it to the door. He gently cupped my face in his hands, gazed lovingly into my eyes, then overtook my mouth with his. I felt heat radiating throughout my body as his tongue scavenged around, wrestling with mine. Once he pulled away, my mind was blank, and I couldn't remember what I was supposed to be doing. Jasper draped his arms across my shoulders and guided me out to the reception area. Everyone, including Matthew, was huddled around the desk waiting. Let's go into my office and talk, I instructed, leading the way to a room just behind the reception area. Jasper followed close behind me, with his hands on my shoulders as if he were leading me to my seat. I sat down behind my desk. Jasper stood behind me. Jillian and Charlotte occupied the chairs in front of my desk, and Gabrielle took Matthew over to the sofa. I looked at each one of their faces and decided this was all the family I needed. As you all know, I went and spoke with a woman I only knew as Auntie May when I was a kid. She told me some very upsetting things about my mother. I'm not ready to talk about it now, but I will tell you. If any of you see Rebecca entering this facility, please ask her to leave. I don't want to have anything to do with her. I don't want to have anything to do with that woman and would prefer not to see her. Auntie May and her children will be here Monday for dinner, and I would like for it to be special. She took care of me as though I were one of her own children. Now it is my turn to take care of her, I told them. I'm sorry. You didn't have happy times when you were a kid? Want to go play on that play? Oh, I'm sorry you didn't have happy times when you were a kid. Want to go play on the playground with me? Matthew asked. Maybe later, sweet boy, I told him. Does anyone have any questions? I asked. Well, I understand that you aren't ready to discuss with us what May told you about your mother, but are you saying that Rebecca is your biological mother? Charlotte asked. That is correct. That woman only gave birth to me and nothing else. Can we play now? I like it better when you smile, Kenzie, Matthew said, getting restless. Sure, sweetie, I said, standing. We can all play, he said, encouraging the others to get up and follow us. Matthew grabbed my hand and led me and the others out of the office. We passed through the reception area and into one of the therapy rooms. He took us out the side door where the play equipment was and ushered me over to the row of 10 swings, motioning for me to sit down on the one end on the one on the end, moving around behind me. Matthew attempted to push me on the swing. He wasn't very strong, so I didn't go very high, but I was having fun. Jillian joined me on the swings as Charlotte and Gabrielle stood off to the side and talked to Jasper. I knew they were trying to pump him for information, but I had faith in Jasper not to tell them anything. As everyone else joined us on the play equipment, I saw Rebecca exiting the center through the same side door we had come through. You need to leave, I said, hopping off the swing. Did you talk to May? She asked. Yes, I did, and I want you to leave, I told her again. If you're still mad at me, then she lied to you. I'm not the bad guy in this situation. Your father is, she blurted. Oh, now you're going to try to blame my father. Do you even know who my father is? I asked. Of course I do. I'm not a whore. How come I've never met him? Where was he when I was growing up? Why didn't you leave me with him when you decided you didn't want me instead of putting me in foster care? I questioned. Your father was an abusive man. When I found out I was pregnant with you, I knew I had to get away from him. I tried to disappear, but he always managed to find me. I thought about all my other options, but I decided to keep you. When I hadn't heard from him in a while, I thought I was safe. One day he just showed up at the house, and I didn't know what else to do. I had to protect you, and May's house was too close. She explained. That sounds like one giant fabricated story, Charlotte said, stepping up next to me. Yeah, I don't think I believe that, Jillian said, joining me on the other side. Please, Rebecca, just go, I told her. Keep in mind, I tried to warn you. If he shows up here looking for you, just remember, I tried to help, Rebecca said, irritated, turning and heading back through the side door. Charlotte, follow her to see if you can get some information about my biological father from her. If he shows up here, I want to make sure I know who I'm looking for, I instructed. Got it. Will do, Charlotte complied. We stood and watched the door for a moment. We silently waited for Charlotte to come back through and inform us of this wild story Rebecca told her. I believe the others stood there with me for support. After a few moments, I turned and walked back over to Matthew, who was waiting patiently by the swing. Come on, Kenzie, get on the swing. I'll push you, Matthew said with a smile on his face. How about you get on and I'll push you? I said, no longer in the mood for fun. Okay, he said, hopping on the swing and pumping his legs so he was swinging himself. I put my hand on his back. I put my hand out so his back would touch against it every time he pumped his legs. Gabrielle, Jillian, and Jasper made their way back over near the swings and joined me to wait for Charlotte. Have you found out exactly who this woman is? Gabrielle asked. I'm having Detective Rage look into her background, I said. Has he found anything yet? Jillian wondered. I haven't heard back from him, but I'm sure I will soon, though. I just hope this woman is telling some version of the truth. I've been lied to most of my life and would appreciate some truth to where I came from, I said. Oh, you guys, this woman is an amazing storyteller. She wouldn't tell me what your father's name is, but she did say he is currently living in town and could be anyone in your life and you wouldn't even know. He probably has already inserted himself into your life under an alias, Charlotte said, practically giggling as she rejoined us out at the playground. Before anyone else could speak, my cell phone rang. Detective Rage was on the other line when I answered. Can you stop by the station in the morning? He asked. Sure thing. So you have the information I asked for? I inquired. Not yet, but I do have something that might interest you. I'll be there bright and early tomorrow morning. How about we make it 10 instead? You got it. Thank you, detective, I said before hanging up the phone. What's going on? Does he have information about Rebecca or who your mother really is? Charlotte asked. He said no about that, but he does have some interesting news. We're going to meet him around 10, so we may be gone before any of you get here. I told him. I told them. All right, Matthew, it is getting late, sweetie. Time to go home and get into bed, Gabrielle said. Okay, Gabby, Matthew said, hopping off the swing. We all headed back into the center, and everyone gathered their things to leave. We all walked toward the front doors, and Jasper and I held them open for the others. Make sure you smile every day, Kenzie, Matthew told me as he embraced me in the sweetest hug. I'll try, sweetie, I told him. He's right, Gabrielle said as she led him past. Wise words from such a young scholar, Jillian told me as we embraced. How is it that someone so young could be so smart? Never question a good thing, Charlotte said, taking her turn hugging me. Now those are wise words, I said, laughing. Once everyone had left the parking lot, I waved at the security guard patrolling and locked the front doors. Jasper draped his arm over my shoulders as we made our way to the room to settle in for the night. The last one of the night, chapter 8. Chapter 8. All right. The next morning, Jasper and I went to breakfast, then headed over to the police station to meet with Detective Rage. We walked through the front doors, and the officer behind the desk waved and buzzed us in. We headed straight back to the room we were all too familiar with. The dry erase board now had 2 photos of me as a child hanging up. I could see Rage was holding a third. Why me? Why was this happening to me? Oh, good, you're finally here. Early this morning, another body was found. Approximately 4 a.m., officers received a call from a driver who was heading to an early church service about a possible dead body. When EMTs arrived on the scene, they confirmed the woman was dead. She was missing both legs, and this was found with the body, Rage said, handing me the photo he was holding. I was about 3 years old in the photo and was fake feeding a baby doll with a plastic bottle. I turned the photo over and read the disturbing message. I could have killed you right then, I read aloud. Jasper took the photo from me and placed it on the board next to the others with the message hidden. He backed up just a tad and examined all 3 photos. He tilted his head back and forth like a dog does when asked a question. There is something off about these pictures. Do you see how each one of them looks like Mackenzie has no idea her photo is being taken? Most people who take pictures of their children usually make sure the child is looking at them or the camera. In each of these photos, it is as if someone made sure she didn't know they were there, Jasper analyzed. You're right. It is almost as if she has been watched from birth. Did anyone that you can remember ever approach you as a child or say strange things to you? Rage asked. Not that I can remember. I don't know, maybe. I could ask Charlotte and Jillian if they remember someone who used to stalk me. The only problem is, these 3 photos were taken when I was still with my mother. Once you dig up all the information about her, maybe we may be able to answer some of these questions, I said. Speaking of which, I told you last night I had some information that might be interesting to you. Well, as I was researching everyone named Rebecca that lived next to someone named May, I came up with two possibilities. One was Rebecca Carter, mother of two. Each one of her children ended up in foster care. The second was Rebecca Sims, mother of one. According to the record, though, her daughter died at the age of 6. The most interesting part, both women named Rebecca lived in the same house, Rage told us. I had to sit down. I wondered if that meant both women named Rebecca were the same woman. If they were, does that mean I was declared dead? Does that mean I have two siblings somewhere? Was one of my siblings declared dead? Why were two of her children taken from her? How was she able to file for a death certificate if there was no body? Sims. Is that what May called me when we went to her house? Mackenzie Sims? It has to be Rebecca Sims. But I'm not dead, I stated. You went to the neighbor's house? Why would you do that? Why didn't you come to me first? Rage questioned. I wanted to see the one person who was consistent in the first 6 years of my life. Why was that wrong? I wanted to know. What if that woman was dangerous? Maybe she was the one your mother was trying to protect you from, Rage said through clenched teeth. He balled up his fists and began pacing the room. He was mumbling to himself in a way that sounded as though he were speaking another language. As a matter of fact, Rebecca claims she was trying to protect both me and her from my biological father, I informed Rage. Rage ignored me and continued pacing. He acted as though he was trying to contain himself from fighting someone. Detective, is it possible these two Rebecca women are the same person? Jasper asked as if he could read my mind and knew the questions rattling around my thoughts. Rage stopped pacing, tilted his head straight up, and took a deep breath. His hands relaxed, and he made eye contact with me. The look in his eyes was different, though. He no longer had the caring police detective serve and protect look. It had changed to loathing and revenge. It is possible that it is possible, and that is what we are looking into now, Rage informed. Please let me know if she shows up at the center again. I would like to speak to her and get her reason behind coming back into your life now, all of a sudden, and how she was able to get a record of death for a child that is very clearly not dead. I definitely will give you a call. Please let us know if you find a resolution, I said, standing and pulling Jasper to the exit. The change in Rage's eyes made me feel uneasy. The second I told him we had gone the second I told him we had gone to visit May, sorry, his gaze became vacant, and it was almost as though he had become possessed. And you do the same. Let me know if you find out anything about the mysterious photographer. And don't try to investigate it alone anymore. Rage yelled through the station at us as we passed through the doors to exit the building. I waved my hand, acknowledging I'd heard him, and continued out of the station toward the car. Jasper retrieved the keys from his pocket, and I took them from him and climbed in the driver's side. I turned the key in the ignition, and the car came to life as Jasper lowered himself into the passenger seat. Mac, are you okay? Jasper asked after a few moments of silence. Did you see the change in rage when I mentioned our visit to May? There was a vacancy in his eyes. It was absolutely terrifying, I told him. I saw it, but I'm just attributing it to the typical police protection. He wants to protect you, and he feels you put yourself in a dangerous situation that he was unable to control, Jasper assumed. I can't believe I could have two half siblings out there somewhere. And every time Rebecca showed up at the center, she never thought to mention it, I complained as I drove well over the speed limit back to the center. Detective Rage is find still looking into finding still looking into it to find out if Rebecca Carter and Rebecca Sims are the same person. I don't quite understand why you were more upset about possible siblings rather than infuriated about the fact that she reported a child to be dead. Jasper pointed out. How is that even possible? She did just abandon me in a public space and allowed two other children to be taken from her care. She would have no knowledge, nor would she have apparently cared about what happened to any of her children. Why wouldn't she have assumed one of her children was dead? I said. I don't think that she assumed one of her children was dead. I think she went out of her way to make it look like one of them was dead. Maybe she is the one killing now. She could be the copycat killer who actually wants her child dead. That would explain the photos with the messages. But with the way the bodies are mutilated, I think the killer is male, Jasper said. Not necessarily. Malachi's kills were clean, precise. The amputations on these new bodies are jagged and rough. It could very possibly be a woman, I pointed out. You're right. It could be a woman. Nowadays, you never really know a person. Look at Eileen Mornos. She killed several men before robbing them and stealing their cars. A woman is just as likely as a man to be a serial killer. The only difference is most women poison their victims. They would rather murder someone as clearly and discreetly as possible. In Eileen's case, she shot them and completely changed the murder profile for women, Jasper informed. That is precisely my point. The ominous messages on the back of those photographs suggest it could have been my mother. Maybe she took those photos when I was at May's house. Maybe she had a gun, or perhaps if she ever actually fed me, she may have thought about poison. Who knows? Maybe she's trying to get in close to me so she can kill me now, I said. We can ask May tomorrow night when she comes over for dinner. If she maybe remembers if someone strange was ever hanging around her house when you were there. We can do that. But first, let's see if Jillian or Charlotte remembers anyone from when I was older, I suggested as I pulled into the parking lot at the center. We exited the vehicle and headed for the door. We were about 20 feet from entering when Jillian came rushing out. Please don't be mad, she said, putting her hands up in a motion for us to stop. What is it, Jilly? I asked. Rebecca is back and Gabrielle and Charlotte are in there talking to her. She brought cake, Jillian informed. Jasper and I looked at each other with the same look of terror on our faces, then ran past Jillian and straight through the front doors of the center. We could hear them laughing from the dining area. I was relieved, and I'm sure Jasper was as well, to see the cake was still completely intact and no one had eaten any at that point. Jasper grabbed the 10-gallon trash can as I grabbed the cake. I dumped the cake into the trash, and Gabrielle, Charlotte, and Rebecca stood up right after the thunk it made. It made as it hit the bottom. Was there something wrong with me bringing cake? Rebecca asked, furrowing her brow and turning up one corner of her mouth. Mackenzie, have you lost your mind? Charlotte asked. What the hell, Mackenzie? Gabrielle chimed in. What are you doing here again? I thought I told you to stay away, I said to Rebecca through clenched teeth, ignoring the others. Jasper, call Detective Rage. There's no need to call the police. I just really want you to understand why I couldn't keep you at my house, Rebecca said. I don't want to hear your excuses. I want you to leave. Auntie May was a better mother to me than you ever were. We don't want your poisoned cake, and we don't want you here. Please leave and never come back. If you show up here again, I'll call the police and have you arrested for trespassing, I told her. Poison cake? Why would I poison the cake? She asked, puzzled. Why would you abandon your 6-year-old daughter at a hotel and leave her there? Jasper interrogated. Are you still upset about that? I told you, your father was a bad man. she replied, irked. Am I still upset about that? Of course I'm still upset about that. My mother decided to abandon me as a vulnerable child to go out into the world and fend for myself. First you blamed May. Now you're blaming my father. Is that why you changed your name and pretended you had a dead child? I changed my name hoping your father wouldn't find us. But when he did, I had to think fast. I have As for having a dead child, I don't know where you got that information from, but I never once said I had a dead child. None of my children are dead, and you are the only one I felt bad about giving up. So that means I do have two older siblings out there somewhere. When were you planning to tell me about that? Or were you ever? I was hoping you would never find out about that, Rebecca said in a soft voice, looking down at her hands, picking at her fingernails. And saying that you never felt bad about giving up your other two children shows how shitty of a mother you are, Jasper chimed in. You know what? Just get out. Stop coming here. I don't want to see you or hear any more of your lies, I yelled. I crossed my arms over my chest and looked up at a far corner of the ceiling like a child. I was refusing to look at her. She finally got the hint and left quietly. Jillian was standing in the doorway as Rebecca walked out of the dining area. What the hell is your problem? Gabrielle asked once Rebecca was out of earshot. Yeah, Mackenzie, you always wanted a mother who loved you. Now that you do, you don't want anything to do with her, Charlotte said. Love me? You think that her just randomly showing up here repeatedly after I have to ask her not to is her showing love? I argued. Everyone shows love differently. She feels as though if you could just get to know her at some point, you would let her into your life, Charlotte explained. You know, Charlotte, I thought that you, of all people, would understand why I don't get to know the woman who abandoned me. Your mother gave up on you when you were two. You may not remember her, but I'm sure you would be just as upset as I am if she decided to pop up back into your life. She hasn't given me time to process. She just keeps showing up uninvited. I need time to think in order to understand her motive for trying to insert herself back into my life, I said, my voice raising an octave. Leave Mackenzie alone. She was abandoned by this woman at an age old enough to remember the trauma of the situation. I'm sure I'm sure she probably feels betrayed. Then on top of that, to find out she has blood relatives she could have lived with this whole time, she's got to be upsetting. Give her a chance to soak in all the information that has been thrust at her over the past several days. She will eventually come around and allow Rebecca to explain. But for now, just let the information sink in, Jillian said, walking up next to me. Thank you, Jillian. I appreciate your support and understanding, I said, relaxing my arms down by my sides and smiling at her. Let's just finish the day. May is coming for dinner tomorrow, and I'm sure you will want to clean up a bit to show her around, Jasper said. You're right. What time is it? The guests should be coming in for lunch soon. Then it will be time for group discussion, I informed them as the scent of lemon pepper chicken with mashed potatoes and steamed broccoli filled the air. I decided to go to the room I shared with Jasper to take a nap. And that's it. That's it for today. Do I have kids? Yeah, my son is 26. I have children. Why do people ask me if I have kids? Dude, I'm reading my book. I have a book. Are you asking if I'm a freaking weirdo? Yes, I'm a freaking weirdo. I'm a freaking crazy weirdo. I write books about crazy freaking weirdo things. And my son thinks it's funny, so whatever. Anyway, didn't stick around long enough for an answer, so that's okay. So, what does everybody think so far? That's just the first 8 chapters. We got some tomorrow too. It's crazy. Damn, it's after 10 o'clock. So is this one better than the first one? I mean, I have to make sure that the next one is always better than the first. That's how I do it. That's how I do my series. Because I hate when you read a series and the first one is the best and you keep going, and then by the time you get to the last one, it's like, dude, I should have stopped at the first. Nope. I want it to get better as it goes on, because then it's like, oh, I need the next one. I need the next one. Somebody give me the next one. That's how I did it. My cult series, holy crap. One of my beta readers said that the third one was probably the best one out of the entire series, and she was so excited to get there. Show people how weird we are. Okay, hold on. Let's see. I can do that. Let's see how many people are going to come in here. Back online. Did I ever go offline? Did I go offline? Did y'all lose me at any point? Why would it say that I go back online? I don't understand. This one. Okay, good. I don't even know if I can play music on YouTube. I just thought about that. I don't know if I can play music here, but I can do this. I just thought about that. Don't you get in trouble for that on here? Oops. Anyway. Oh my goodness. No, the whole thing about copyright, blah, 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 you know. YouTube's the one who will actually copyright restrict videos. I did that because I posted a video on TikTok with music, and then I took that same video, it was TikTok music, and I took that same video and I posted it over here, and immediately, within seconds, I got hit with a copyright strike. I know, right? I can do a little dance. Okay. Anyway. Regarding your personal loan. No. Good. I can now report spam. Thank goodness. No. Report spam. Thank you. What about this one? Can I do this one too? Yes. Ooh, yay. Must be my phone updated. Because now I'm going to do that to every single one of these phone calls that I receive that says, hey, we want to give you money. Good. Let's report some spam here. Application. That's spam. There's another money here. You like YouTube, huh? That's good. Anyway, I'll do that later, but I'm going to sit there and do it to all of them. So you like YouTube? I like YouTube too. Oh, is it better? Yeah, I prefer it. There's no filters, so I'm not missing any of the comments that come through. That is one thing. I may actually end up changing a lot of my stuff. I know that there are things that can be done without being monetized at this point because I'm not monetized yet. I don't have enough followers. Let me see. I know that I got let me see. Let me turn off my do not disturb now so I can get all my stuff. Because I know that the last time I did that, yeah. Oh crap. That is a 21 emails. Really? I will. Oh yeah, I'll do that. I got 21 emails while I was on Do Not Disturb. That is nuts. So let me check. While I've been live, I have gotten 3 new subscribers to my YouTube channel. So there we go. Okay, so let's see. In order for me to get money, I need 500. I need 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours. I'm at 176 in the last 365 days. I'm at 176 watch hours. I need 3,000. That's why it's so hard for me to get monetized here, is because of the fact that I don't do enough of this. Like, I'm hoping that I can get this live uploaded. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's probably going to take fucking days. Hopefully not. Hey, where are those? That's cool. Can I? No. I can hide the chat. Nice. Okay. I was wondering if I could make a comment. I don't know how to make a comment. I may have to do that from my computer though, and not from here. Ah, Smiley. Mm. But if this turns out to be better, I know that once I hit that point, because see, I have the YouTube studio, and it'll tell me all of the stuff that I need to know, and then this one here is in order to get extra perks. So there's that. And then not only that, but once I can get memberships, yeah, okay, so there is like the super, I'm not even sure what that is. What is the supers? Oh, super chats. Okay, so that's the super chat. So that's the thing where what you call it? Not really gifts, but in like a way that you can tip me, I guess. So there's that. But yeah. And I know that they can be done through videos and other things. And then I can also attach my website so that all of my what you call it? Like at the underneath my videos and stuff like that, all my books I can have set up so you can see them and actually order them directly from my website. Like after you watch my video, you'll be able to see them down there. And then of course you can get members. And if I do members, that will mean that I can do what you call it, members only live streams, members only chat live streams, and I can do a lot of other things. But I've had this since 2019. Okay. I've had YouTube since 2019. I have not been consistent. I've been more consistent on TikTok than I have on YouTube, but it's because of the way the videos upload. It takes fucking forever for the videos to upload on YouTube sometimes. And I can only do one at a time. On TikTok, I can just, hit them and have them go. But see, I only got 253. But I will say this much. I sat at 11 for years. And then I went to an event. And when I went to one of these conventions, that's when my subscriber count went up. I was like, cool. And then my subscriber count continued to grow after Aria was in some of my videos. And then you get bullshit, comments and stuff like that from people that are all like, oh, what is that? Oh, this should be in the wild. The same bullshit you get on TikTok. And I don't care. I don't care. Make crazy comments. I don't care. The ones on TikTok, though, sometimes some of those. Are you just going through all the little thingies that are down there? Mind blown. That is so crazy. But I will say this much. If I do get monetized on YouTube, I'm probably going to have to request a lot of videos to be like, hey, please, I'm reading my books. Please don't demonetize this video. Please be nice to me, because the themes and stuff like that. Although it does say not made for kids, so it is probably a little less. But the problem is that constantly saying murder and knife and stuff like that and death, shootings, guns. I have watched enough true crime videos to know that they are still restricting what they say because of the monetization that they get on these videos. So it kind of sucks having to restrict what you say because of the way that it is. Like, oh, we can't monetize you because you're using, language that is upsetting to some people. Well, those people can fuck off. I mean, like, you can't say curse words within the first 7 minutes of your video. You have to watch the first 7 minutes. You cannot curse. Otherwise, it automatically demonetizes you. There are certain words you can't say within the first 7 minutes, or it automatically demonetizes you. That's the AI bots. Anything after 7 minutes, the AI bots have left and they stop watching. So that much I do know. And that's only because I watch so many freaking YouTube videos. I I just wish that I could see, like, my battery. I can't see how much battery I have left. So I have no idea. It was on 100% when I first started. So there's that. And I know that Apple products make that sound whenever they're dying. So I haven't heard a sound come out of it yet. I can make my own music. I can make my own music. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Nobody wants to watch that anyway. And I will say this much too. I don't feel like I have invasive questions asked about anything. I've had someone tell me that, I don't know what I'm doing with Aria and she needs to go to Our Life Adventures. I'm like, wow, you're kind of a bitch. I love them. That's exactly how I responded too. I love them. Was you dancing with me? Hell yeah. But see, and I kept thinking too, I was like, as soon as I get monetized here, I was going to start going live after I got monetized. But TikTok came along and I started doing that. I started doing TikTok instead. And now that I'm constantly being picked apart and told that I should probably figure out how to get a job because someone wants to complain about $100 for groceries. That's cheap, by the way. $100 for groceries is cheap. I have no food left in the house. Let me put it that way. I have zero food. I am scrimping at this point for food. I have enough to feed Aria because I did not get groceries this week because he keeps complaining about that. Oh, I'm still having to pay for your groceries. Yeah, so I skipped this week thinking that, okay, fine, I'll skip. Yeah, exactly. And he's like, you shouldn't be having to pay that much for groceries. Blah, blah, blah. He also has said before, the price is cheaper if you go inside the store compared to when you pick it up at the curb. Okay, I can't take her in the store. I'm sorry, but she's going to scream the entire time because there are too many people in there. And because of the craziness that was 2020, they're no longer open 24 hours. So there's that. Oh, is it the same price? Okay, well, there. So he can shut up. He was saying that it was cheaper if I go in the store compared to picking it up curbside. Thank you. You're amazing too. I'm so glad that you're here. Exactly. Pickup is free as long you're gonna say it. You said it wrong. But yeah, the pickup is free as long as you go a few hours in advance, right? See, and I can't even get delivery out here. Nobody will deliver out here. Nobody will deliver out here. So essentially, at this point in time, I have skipped the grocery delivery for this week. Of course, last week it was 117, but there was a reason for that. I had to buy dry goods last week. And when you buy dry goods, there's tax on that. There's no taxes on food in Texas, but the dry goods have tax. So if you have to get paper towels, or toilet paper, or tissues, or tampons, or anything like that, there is a tax on that. And I'm going to write on here that I skipped the groceries this week. So, this is my budget book. I am still budgeting so that I know exactly what I am spending right now, even though it's still coming out of the joint, most of it anyway. I did pay for my credit card, and he was absolutely furious with me about that. And then he asked me about money I made 2 or 3 months ago. I was like, yes, that money I paid my credit card with. It doesn't last forever. So, anyway, I love it. So, I am doing everything I can right now to figure out how to monetize this. This is what I'm looking for. Buy my books. Miranda, you better get on that. Unless you're waiting for the next one to come out on the 13th of next month. Because if you're waiting for that, I can understand, because there will be a whole full year before the next one gets published. So you'll have time. I'm just saying. So there's that. But everything I can do to monetize these books, which means now I'm going to film one video for each one of these books. That's going to be 12 videos that are going to be posted here. And I'm going to set them to scheduled posting because I freaking love that, by the way. I love the fact that I can schedule posts on YouTube. That is one of the things that I loved about posting on YouTube, is that I could schedule posts. I didn't have to worry about whether or not it was going to get sent to drafts or, whatever. It worked out. YouTube was the best for me at the time. And now I've got someone who is telling me I need to get a job. I'm sorry. I have a little one that I can't just leave the house and go for a job. It doesn't work that way. I have a job. I have 12 published books. I have another one coming out next month. Oh yeah. I was like, did I finish that one? I did. Now I'm working on the cover. I've got to get that stupid thing for the back. That is what I have to work on tonight, is to get that blurb that goes on the back of the book. I have to work on that tonight. And then I have that one I have to work on. I have one that I just got back from my beta readers because it's a short story collection, and they said they couldn't put it down. And I was like, yay. I was excited about that one. So that one's going to be thin. That one's going to be small. It is just 10 short stories. That one is set for 2028. Yes, because this one up here that I have that's supposed to be editing, that one there is scheduled for 2027. So then I've got 2028 that just came back. So I can send them the one for 2029 and then rapid fire the ones for 2030 because that's one book a month in 2030. I'm super excited about that one. I cannot wait to be able to start publishing those. Woo! But I got to finish writing all those. I have 3 more. I have 3 more to write, and then those will be done. And then all I'm doing is editing and working on getting everything published. Yup. Hell yeah. That is super exciting. It is super exciting. Oh, and this weekend, I have to make sure I get everything kind of cleaned up and straightened in here. No, because I've thought the same thing. Camaro, I have definitely thought the same thing. I hope his next girlfriend is a complete gold digger. I'm a cheap bitch. I barely ever buy anything. I never spend money. I don't spend money. I hate spending money. I hate paying for bills, but you know what? Those things keep coming around. So there's that. But anyway, yep. So this weekend, I have to get all of this stuff straightened out and presentable. Oh yeah, I gotta water that fucking plant before it dies. Damn it. Our love fern. But anyway, so I have to get this shit all straightened out so that they can come in and do the open house next weekend. Oh, speaking of which, I need to check this house. Those bastards stopped coming. What? Did I miss a comment? Yeah. I need to see. Oh, wait, I don't need that. I need this one. This one. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, bills. Yeah. They never stop. Oh, it does still say for sale. Oh, the house. The house. It does say that it is still for sale. I'm literally stalking this house at this point. I feel like I need to contact the realtor and be like, hey, by the way, can you just take it off the market because I need this house? And as soon as my house sells, I promise you, I'm going to give you cash for it. Please just let me have this house. I need this house. I need it. Like, it's perfect. I need it. Anyway, I keep hoping. Should I keep hoping that just posting it on Facebook will get people to look at it and be like, oh my gosh. I did have somebody ask how much. So there's that. That always, that always gets a little. Seems a little promising. That's where I was going with that. That seems a little promising. Or at least I would hope that it would be a little promising. But the more people that I can get to come over here from TikTok too, because this one is more of an established platform as well. If I can get more people over here, then I might be able to get a little extra. I feel like those hello, how are you, little lamb? Hello. I feel like those singled out. I'm still going to do TikTok in the afternoons. So that's just how that's going to work out. I'm still doing TikTok in the afternoons. TikTok, I'm actually starting to have fun with again. Good. I am so glad that you are good. That is awesome. But I'm always cheerful. Who wants to live life miserable? That's how my life always works. If you're not happy, do battles. If I do that, Christy Jorgensen, the boys did. Nice. That's terrifying, Camaro. um, I'm terrified with doing battles because of randos. I wouldn't mind doing battles with people I know, like people that I follow and stuff like that, but yes. So I'm going to explain. My thought process on life is if you always see the bad in everything, then you're probably going to always be upset. But if you always see the good, like you can see the good in anything. And sometimes you can be happy for no reason. I recently got divorced, and I see that as a good thing. You know, I mean, why dwell on it? But yeah, I got to find a new house because this house has to sell. It's a little, I'm your inspiration. Yes, this is the reason why I'm on TikTok in the afternoons. There are so many people on TikTok and they just need that little bit of time to smile. Even if it's just the 2 hours that I'm on, just need that little time just to have someone make them smile. You say set free. just a little bit. Sometimes you have to see the good in bad situations. Start fresh, start new, and hope that everything works out in your favor. And Christy Jorgensen, I'm glad that I'm your inspiration. Because the world around us, free at last, the world around us is beautiful. Everything that is nature. That's why I just want a place to sit down outside and have a cup of coffee and just enjoy the nature around me. Enjoy the outside, breathe in fresh air, I love listening to the birds. Made bail. Absolutely. Was set free from the warden. But I love listening to the birds, the little chirping and everything else. Aria does not mind the little chirps from the birds. It's literally the crows that freak her out. I will say that, and I want to say that the worst part about saying this is that the fact that he's not here a lot of the times makes me feel lighter. I don't feel so stressed out all the time. Like I'm always afraid that I'm going to make him mad for some reason. So I do feel a little lighter. I do feel a little less stressed out. I feel like I can breathe. Like I'm not having to walk on eggshells. Yes. I do feel lighter. So, but I love listening to the birds. There is a woodpecker outside, so yeah. But yep. It's wonderful. I want to sit outside. I want to listen to the birds. I want to let Aria play and just enjoy nature and outside and the goodness. Fresh air, not stuffed inside where there's central AC constantly going on. Okay, so that stuff is supposed to circulate. It's not fresh air. 200. I lost over 200 pounds of stress weight. uh, so, anyway, yep. I love the fact that it has a front porch that I can sit on to drink my morning coffee. And I can let Aria do like, maybe she can have breakfast out there and we can have like a enrichment breakfast for her. She can come out there and have a few blueberries and some scrambled eggs or something out there. And then a swing, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I've looked at like rocking chairs and stuff like that. Chairs that rock. I've looked at that kind of thing. If I get a swing though, I don't want it to hang from the porch because right, set up some foraging spots, some little places that she can go through and kind of find all of her food and things. Heck yeah. But I'd have to find one that comes with a stand for the swing only because of the fact that literally hanging it from the actual covered porch scares me because I'm afraid it's going to be like if you've ever seen those videos where people are sitting on it and they just like fall, that's what I'm terrified of. So I'm like, let's find a stand that it sits on. My parents have one of those and I love sitting in that. It's not it's one of those Adirondack type swings. So it swings back and forth, but it doesn't have a stand. Like the whole thing, it's like its own little, you know what I mean? It's almost like a rocker, but it doesn't rock. It swings, and I kind of want one of those because that's actually comfortable. But yeah, it's that Adirondack material. I love those. Let me see if I can find a picture of what it looks like. I mean, I'm not going to have one of what theirs looks like, but I'm pretty sure Google does. Let's see. Oops, it's CK Adirondack Swing. Let's see images because I hate when Google does that. Ooh, that kind of looks like fun. That's a fire pit swing. So it has like it goes around and there's like 4 different swings that fits 2 people. That looks like fun. Nope, that one hangs. Hold on. Not that one. That hangs. I don't want to do that. I'm looking to see what they got. Nope, that one hangs. But I do want the cup holders. I do want cup holders because I think that would be fun. Let me see. There's literally just sits on like this swinging base. Oh my gosh, I've always wanted something like this in a garden surrounded by flowers. Always. I think that would just be pretty. But I also feel like that looks a little kind of. Oh my God, that looks like a bed. There's one in here that looks like a bed. That's crazy. Okay. No, not more like these. Seriously? I wonder if my parents got theirs special made. That's no, like it actually looked like it had like a hold on. Let me see that one. I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like a bed. This one. Oh, and it's going to take me directly to Wayfair. Okay. Well, that's not what I wanted, but I'll do that anyway. It looks like a bed. Like you put a mattress on it and you could totally lay down that thing. It does say porch swing bed. All right. Interesting. That's interesting. Wonder what people would be doing on that, swinging around. Put that in the bedroom. I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I cannot find the one like they have. This is kind of annoying. Like theirs doesn't have the top piece on it. It literally looks like chairs and it's got just the base that it sits on and swings back and forth. I'm wondering if it was something special made. I wonder if it oops. I wonder if it was something that was special made. I'll have to ask them. I'm sorry. I take that back. I'll have to ask my mom. My dad's not going to have any idea. He won't have any idea because the rest of this all looks like it hangs. So, oh yeah. And knowing the way that my parents are, I'm willing to guarantee it. But it sits on like a side type patio. Like they have all kinds of seating areas out there. They have the covered porch where they have the table and stuff like that. And then around the corner, they have like a brick patio that's just outside their large windows. And they have a little patio there. And then they have a pathway that goes to a fire pit where they have seating around it. And then they have another, they have a gazebo where they have seating in it. They have a, I wanted to say gondola, but that's not right. It's the oh my gosh, the freaking cover thing. They have one of those cover thingies. And they have seating over there, but they also have a horseshoe little thing. Oh yeah, but they have 9 acres that um they have 9 acres uncleared and they have a full acreage of 16. So they have 9 acres not cleared out of that 16. It's like a canopy. I just it's really irritating that I can't remember what that thing is and I was calling it that earlier. I don't know. Anyway, um, but yeah, it's like a canopy thing. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you in this picture of this house because they've got one too. uh, um, Let me see because I know the parking pergola. That was the word I was looking for. They have a pergola. uh, so they have a pergola that has seating area around it. That's bricked, and then in front of it they have like this strip that's a horseshoe type thing, and they just yeah. So they have all that set up, and then they have a bunch of stuff that they can put up and take down, things like that. So they have a net, so they can play badminton and things like that. But they have all that property out there, and I'm pretty sure that I could do something out in mine too. I got all these ideas to do that out there. And that's why I can't lose this house because I'm tired of looking at a house and going, that's the one I want. And then realizing that, oh, I still have time, or thinking I still have time, and start looking at ways that I can decorate it and fix it up and all that stuff just for it to 2 days later be sold. That's what discourages me a little bit. But I move on, I find another one, it's for sale. That one's perfect. I love it. I need it. So I feel like I need to call the realtor and see what I can do about that. Be like, hey, I really need this house. Kira's getting water. I was like, what is that noise on the monitor? It's Kira getting water. Ari's underneath her blanket. She's like, she's all covered up. It's my baby. But anyway, I have a little bit of work to do. Ooh, it's almost 11 o'clock. Holy crow. Crow. Holy cow. I got to pull this one down to start editing this one. I have this one here that the edits need to go on the actual file. I have 6 more up there that are all going to have to be edited. I have 3 more books that still have to be written. And I have 1 more that I have to print that I received back. Oh, I know, right? I love your face. Absolutely. Now, today was just the first 8 chapters. I do have more tomorrow. Don't forget, it is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I will be reading all week. On Friday, I might do another nighttime live. But I think if I do that, I might actually go over onto TikTok and do the live there and do Christy suggestions, and maybe I'll do some battles or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Sometimes my nights I just like to sit around and do absolutely fucking nothing. Maybe I'll wait till Saturday and do some battles or something. I don't know. We'll see how that works. But anyway, I'm gonna sign off for now. This is already 200 minutes. I don't know how long that is, but it's probably going to take fucking forever to upload to here. But I'm so glad that everybody joined me in my book. I hope to see y'all the next time. Yes. Good night, everybody. And everybody sees me on TikTok. I will see you tomorrow afternoon.